Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in. You're on our frequency now. You're resonating with us. It's November 4th, 2018, and you're listening to the Hidden Path Podcast. I'm your host, Resonance Rich, and we want to thank you for tuning in. We are brought to you by godlikeproductions.com, our home and community forum. Help us support the site by heading over there and checking it out. You might find some interesting topics that could quite possibly blow your mind. Tonight's guest is Kathleen Marquardt. Kathleen has been in the freedom movement since before it was called that. She was founder, chairman of Putting People First, a nonprofit organization combating the animal rights movement. Her book, AnimalScam, The Beastly Abuse of Human Rights, was published in 1993. Kathleen has been vice president of the American Policy Center since 2000 and is an expert for the Rocky Top Freedom Campaign. She was a contributing writer and researcher for Freedom Advocates. Hello, Kathleen. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
I really appreciate you inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, my first question for you tonight is, what got you started on this journey, down this path? What was it that led you to this current endeavor of yours?
Oh, well, it was a long time ago. I was pretty much, I won't say reclusive, but if my husband and kids were home, they answered the phone. I didn't. I was a very quiet person, and my children were in junior high, and one of them came home from school one day crying, bawling her eyes out, but she didn't want to tell me what was wrong. And then she finally told me this woman from People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals had been in their class, in their science classroom, lecturing.
Oh.
And the woman said, well, how many of your fathers hunt? And this was a suburb of D.C., so there weren't any hands raised. And my daughter whispered, my mother hunts. And the woman said, your mother is a murderer.
Wow.
Now, the kids used to hang out at my house, right? Not after that for a while. But I had no idea what animal rights was. I really, literally had no idea. And I started looking into it, and the more I looked into it, the madder I got. And I told my husband, I said, somebody's got to do something. And he was an attorney who worked with nonprofit organizations, setting them up, doing their tax and postal work for them. So he said, you do it. And so I said, okay. And I started this organization. And within 2 months, I was getting requests to give speeches. And I said, I don't give speeches. But it was like wildfire. The whole, it was like my first speech was bizarre because it was in Montana, and that's where I'm from, and I was going to be out there anyway visiting my family. So it started there, and it just, I've given speeches not just in the U.S., in Mexico, different places, So it was something that their time has come. But in 97, my husband came down with lymphoma.
Oh, gosh.
And, we spent the next 2 years going, bone marrow transplant and everything, but I couldn't run the organization and take care of him, so I shut it down. And
that was Putting People First, the organization?
Yep.
Yeah.
Putting People First. And
you said you would go around and speak for the organization. What kind of speeches would you give out usually?
Well, when I started out, I was speaking to people that had been under attack by animal rights for decades. So I assumed that they understood what animal rights was. So I would start in trying to address what they should be doing and where they should be going. But when it came to the question and answers, I realized that I had to start out giving Animal Rights 101. What is animal rights? So that they could understand where this was all leading to, that it's people fighting for the rights for animals, only they're using that to attack humans.
Wow, so
because
they're
they care about,
masquerading as people that are protecting animals. Okay.
So that's, Animal Rights 101 was my main speech. If I spoke to a group, 2 or 3, a lot of people kept calling me back. So I got to get a little deeper into it. But for the most part, it was just explaining Animal Rights 101.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could explain a little bit of that to us, because as far as myself, I think about animal rights and I know about PETA and organizations like that, but I don't know the extent of it. Is there a dark underbelly, obviously, to this?
Well, totally. Was that a cushy question for me?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a obvious question, I guess.
Exactly. No. All you need to do is dissect animal rights goal. So, how do animal rights feel about animals? PETA, Ingrid Newkirk, said, pet ownership is an abomination brought about by human manipulation.
Wow.
And there's all these quotes like that. And the thing is, they just keep on. They're just so negative about animals. They don't really. Oh, Peter Singer, the father of the animal rights movement, he wrote the book Animal Liberation. In the preface of his book, until I started quoting him all the time, it said, "My wife and I don't really love animals. We don't care for dogs and cats and horses like other people do." Now, this is the father of the animal rights movement.
Wow.
So ask yourself, do these people really like animals?
Right. Yeah,
And let me go ahead.
Well, a lot of times we see these organizations, even in all kinds of areas, that have they have secret agendas. Their agenda's really not helping. It's masquerading as for the children or for the animals or whatever, but there's usually something else to it.
Exactly.
I looked up your book AnimalScam on Amazon, and man, it has a lot of reviews. It seems like it heated up a lot of people, either in a good way or a bad way, however they feel, however their viewpoint is. But what was the gist of it that what got people so heated with your book AnimalScam?
Well, the people that like it are people that are, as our motto says, we eat meat, drink milk, wear leather full fur, stoker down, hunt, fish, go to circus, rodeos, and zoos, benefit from biomedical research, whatever. So many of these are under attack by animal rights.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand how to go about fighting it. They didn't, like I say, they didn't stop and find out what animal rights was. And like Sun Tzu said, know your enemy or you're going to lose. So they didn't understand that. And so in the animal rights thing, so I gave you these quotes about the pets. Well, then they're fighting for rights for animals, and actually a court in Europe has allowed them to give standing to animals, so that they can take an animal and sue the person, the owner or whomever, on behalf of the animals. And my response to that is, how do we know whether they are the one or I am the one that better understands what that animal wants?
Right.
I mean, that's, animals don't have rights. We have responsibility to treat animals humanely and to care for them. But in order to be right, you have to be a moral being. You have to understand right from wrong and be able to choose right or wrong. And they act out of instinct. When the lion kills a zebra, we can't hold it for murder.
Right.
So if animals don't have rights and they're fighting for rights for these animals, what are they really doing? That's the next question you have to ask yourself.
Well, that would be the next question I'd ask you. What were they really doing? Because, with your book, you called it AnimalScam, and it was the beastly abuse of human rights. So I'm imagining somehow this came into attacking our rights, basically.
Attacking our very being.
Oh, okay. Well, we know a lot of times with these organizations they try to do that anyways, but that's kind of crafty. I never even thought of the animal rights movement as being an avenue to do that, but that kind of makes sense when you talk about, like, in Europe, what they're doing there, being able to sue their owners, right?
Exactly. But let me just give you a few quotes on how they feel about people. Man is the most dangerous, destructive, selfish, and unethical animal on earth. Mankind is the biggest blight on the face of the earth.
My gosh.
Humans are exploiters and destroyers, self-appointed world autocrats around whom the universe seems to revolve. And here's the best one. If you haven't given voluntary human extinction much thought before, the idea of a world with no people in it may seem strange. But if you give it a chance, I think you might agree that the extinction of Homo sapiens would mean survival for millions, if not billions, of Earth-dwelling species. Phasing out the human race will solve every problem on Earth, social and environmental.
My goodness, these people are sick. Who said that one?
He calls himself Let's Unite, and his organization is Voluntary Human Extinction Movement, and this is from the Wild Earth magazine. If you remember that, one of the Earth First.
Okay, yeah. That's a terrible, terrible way of thinking there. Just voluntary human extinction, huh? To save the animals. Man, you got to be die-hard animal rights.
But they don't.
Yeah.
Set the example.
Right.
You want to get rid of humans? Adios.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times we see that in a lot of other movements too. Like, I'll give you an example: climate change. Everybody will travel to Paris in private jets to go talk about the climate change, but they can't just use, what we're using now, the internet, just to talk about something. You kind of have to practice what you preach in a way, I think. I guess that could be a bad example in one way.
Well, that's a good one, but you have to understand a couple things. One, how are they going to drink all that champagne and eat all that good food if they're sitting here?
Yeah, exactly.
And two, I think they figure they've dumbed down the populace enough, and if you look at what's going on in the colleges, you got to put that people don't see the hypocrisy of Al Gore telling us we need to reduce our carbon footprint down to as close to nothing as possible, and the only way you can do that is to die, and him living the way he does. Seriously.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. That is a very good point too. So, when you published this book, what was the feedback? You published it in '93.
Right.
Did you get a lot of hate mail? Sounds like you're dealing with a lot of haters there. Haters of mankind, maybe?
I'm glad you brought that up because When I started my organization and I got that first request for a speech, I had gotten hate mail that I will not even, I can't say the words they said, but they
My gosh.
had, they drove, we gave out a petition to Congress to stop animal rights, and they would draw pictures on the petitions and send them to us and say, saying this is what we're doing to your daughters, and
Wow.
it was horrendous. And later, of course, they tried to break open our gas tank,
On your automobile or on your house?
right,
Wow.
on our autumn and but let me tell you, there's funny stories about it too. One night, my husband was blind without his glasses.
Okay.
And I'm from Montana, so I knew how to shoot. So the object was, if anything ever happened, he called the police. Well, I would stand at the top of the stairs with a shotgun.
Okay.
And and it was going off one night. I mean, they 3 nights in a row they did it with a gas cap, and then finally they tried to get in the house.
What?
And so, yes.
So they would come find your house. They would come to your house. Wow.
Oh yeah, they knew where I lived, and so I'm up at the top of the stairs, and my daughter came out of her room. I said, "Get back in your room and stay there till."
Yeah.
And I scared her to death.
I'm sure.
But and it took the police 3 days to find our house. But the next morning, I heard that daughter talking to the other one, who never woke up with all this noise going on, because teenagers don't. And she
Yes.
says, "You should have heard Mom last night. She was standing at the top of the stairs with a shotgun saying, 'Come on.'"
Yeah. Well, that's got to be scary. I mean.
Oh, it was odd.
And that was all because of the publishing of your book, right? Or was that?
No, this was before. This was before my. I would go to the grocery store. We were in the suburb of D.C. We hadn't moved to Montana, back to Montana yet. And we were living in a suburb of D.C., and I would go to the grocery store, and I would say probably once a week, one of them would be following me around the grocery store yelling, "You effing murderer!" And,
wow.
yelling this at me. And the other shoppers were looking at me like I was the one that was horrible, not this woman who's screaming this awful stuff.
Yeah, herd mentality, huh?
Yep.
No logic, like, why is this happening? Why are they screaming at you? And so this was before your book was published. So this was
right.
This was probably in response to, you said, a petition to Congress?
And, well, I would say within 2 months after I started this organization, and this is just bizarre because, I had no idea it would grow like it did.
Yeah.
But I guess Rush Limbaugh started talking about my organization, and then I was at the Shooting and Hunting Outdoor Trade Show in Texas, and Ted Nugent was there.
Oh, okay.
And he says, "Kathleen," he says, "you can go home and, go back to your real life. I'm going to do away with animal rights." But
yeah, he's a big hunter, huh?
Yeah, he only eats the meat he hunts. But he and I did the G. Gordon Liddy show.
Oh.
It was something that was meant to be,
Yes.
because I was giving 2 speeches a week, all over the place. It was just unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, so you were really busy back then. And so on top of maybe the haters you would get, you also had a positive influence. There was people that were, we could say, really resonating with what you were saying, huh?
Oh, totally. It was great. The Ringling Brothers Circus when they were in D.C., they invited me to come there, and I got to ride an elephant, and because
Oh,
we would counter protest there, and I even made it into People magazine on the elephant.
wow. That's great. And I gotta say, some of this hate mail you received and the attacks you would get, it almost seems like we're seeing that today in a way. The attacks against the right from the left. It seems that the left is really, really getting extremist with their ways. I mean, we see like these comedians, like that one comedian, Kathy Griffin, holding up Trump's decapitated head and stuff like that, thinking it's funny, and it's not really that funny. I mean, you got to have a pretty morbid outlook to laugh at stuff like that, especially after we've dealt with terrorism and such. Do you think that's you see that a lot today? Do you notice that?
Oh,
I think we all do. Huh?
Oh, it's not just that they're doing this; it's that the Secret Service and the FBI don't go and get these people and haul them in immediately. They would, if this happened even with Obama or Bush, they would have had those people taken away. But I'm now on the board of a new organization called Stop Animal Extremism.
Okay.
Animal rights extremism. And the guy who started it, Greg Schumacher, for 2 years, PETA and other organizations picketed his store. They would have naked ladies, forget it, it wasn't ladies, naked females lying on the sidewalk, and a guy and with a little bit of fur coat on, and a guy pretending he's killing a fur animal. They terrorized him, his employees, his family, 2 years, and the police said they couldn't do anything because these people were using their First Amendment rights, and the judges always sided with the animal rights people. So after 2 years, he was bankrupt and just, he was a mess. And so he's now started up this new organization that I'm working with. So, yeah, but it's not just animal rights. It's all. What is going on is the destruction of values, attitudes, and beliefs in our schools.
Yes.
And destroying our children's ability to be individuals and to have a moral compass.
It seems like it too. I mean, it seems like schools have just become places where you try to fit a bunch of shapes into square holes and hope a bunch of squares come out. It seems like it's a factory for corporate, workplace almost.
Well, as they say, they want to drug most of them. And, I mean, this is the federal government, and, let them just go play their lives away. And I think that's what the universal, how much you would be paid. You get
universal basic income, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That's part of the, but they've been this has been going on for 150 years of dumbing down the people. And you look at those college kids, they have they're afraid of everything, and this is what they're building. Sheep. Sheep are braver than the kids we have in college.
No doubt. We've seen that a lot with campuses around the country, this safe space. I need my safe space, and snowflakes, and everybody's I'm offended. It's like, gosh, what happened to the American youth? And you're right, there is a pattern there. We do see that. Well, that would bring me into you are the vice president of the American Policy Center. You've been the vice president since 2000, and that's headed up by Tom DeWeese. Am I saying that name right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had wrote a book about, was that about Agenda 21? It's called Sustainable.
Well, The war on free enterprise, property right, private property, and individuals, and of course it's about Agenda 2030 now. They just changed the name. You know, they have to change the name of everything because we trashed it so badly that they need to change the names of everything.
Great.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, so can you tell me a little bit about what the American Policy Center does, what you guys been doing since 2000, what your goal is? What is the goal?
Well, he's been doing this at least 30 years.
Oh, wow.
I met him when I was with Putting People First, and we met when there was an organization, a loose organization called the Wise Youth Group, and it was people that were fighting for property rights. That's when they were shutting down all the timber mills and everything, the lumber mills and everything, shutting down timber, shutting down the fishing. Yeah. So we were all in it together, you know, because it is all together. And back then, the environmental groups were the key people fighting us. And so he's been doing this for forever, and it's truly. He also wrote another book that people should read if they want to read a good novel that tells you exactly what's going on by way of Agenda 2030. Excuse me, I almost said the wrong thing. And it's called Erase. And everything that he talks about in it, about what they're doing, shutting down farmers, ranchers, whatever, has actually been done. It's not that it's out there. It's like the premise of Erase is they're erasing our history through not only the school books, but through literature. You can get a book, you can download a book now on Kindle or whatever. I mean, and they changed the wording in the books.
Oh, okay.
So they're erasing our history.
Oh, yeah.
And there's two, you know, so many, but well, that wasn't politically correct, and you know, it's like destroying the monuments.
Yeah, exactly.
They're destroying monuments of wonderful, incredible people just because they had slaves. Well, what about when they decide that if you smoke cigarettes ever, you can't be considered somebody we wanna, or if you used a straw,
right.
How's that? A plastic straw.
Yeah.
You never considered a good person anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody's so critical of people that lived 100 years ago or more, and even people today that are alive. They're so critical. They're so nitpicky. But man, you know, nobody wants to put themselves in the mirror. Nobody wants to accept that none of us are perfect, right?
It isn't even that. It's Animal Farm. You know, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. And it's social justice under sustainable development. I'll call it that, sustainable development. It's social justice, and this is a mutable group of people. Right now, it's women, children, anybody but white males.
Right.
I mean, those are the protected groups now, but then when they get rid of the groups they want to get rid of, then some of those other ones then will have to be on the chopping block. So it's not, there is no center. There's nothing that you can grab onto and say, now this is real, this is unchangeable. It's truly moral relativity taken to the nth degree.
Yes, right. Yeah, and we see that even with a lot of things, like the social justice movement. Social justice warriors. Um, could you explain for me though Agenda 21, or for our listeners a little bit, or should I say 2030? They've changed it. Just
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Agenda 21, actually, you can read exactly what they wanted to do from the Vancouver Declaration, UN Vancouver Declaration, Habitat 1, written in 67 or 76. Sorry, I got that, I don't know.
That's
Anyway,
fine.
and 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 then Agenda 21 was signed onto in 1992 at the Rio Earth Summit, and George Bush signed on to it, even though the treaty and Congress is supposed to ratify treaties, they never even bothered with it. He then set up President's Council for Sustainable Development. Clinton did, the next president. Clinton set it up, and Al Gore ran it and put it into every department of the federal government, and it has now worked a way down to every little tiny town or village in our whole country. And what it is they call it the 3 E's. It's environmental, economic, and equity, which stands for social justice. But they wanted it to all be E's. And the environmental part is, one, they needed to have, an Armageddon. What do we have to be scared to death of? And that was global warming.
Yes.
And before that, they had tried out, the new ice age, and when they said everybody was going to starve because the food was going to run out. But none of those worked, but global warming did. And
yeah, it's kind of caught on. It was global warming. Now what is it? Climate change.
Yeah, I told you they have to change the names when we prove them wrong.
You're right. Absolutely.
So more on the environmental. So 50% of America is supposed to be given over to wildlife. It's called the Wildlands Project.
Okay.
And it means no humans being allowed in the wildlife area.
Oh, so like a safe space for animals,
sanctuary. Yeah, 50% America.
Wow.
I mean, as they say, the humans need to be in cages, and the animals run free.
Jeez.
So that's part of the environment. That's part of the E for environmental. The economic part is the redistribution of wealth, is destroying the middle class. You have to have a middle class if you're going to have people revolt against the government, because Lenin showed you can't get the lower class to rise up. They never do it. But so the redistribution of wealth is really important to understand, because they really are making us poorer and poorer all the time, saying this money that they're taking from us is going to help the third world countries, but it doesn't. It goes into the pockets of the powers that be.
Yep.
And so, yeah. And then there's the social, and there's a lot more to those both parts, the smart growth and all that. And they're putting a blue line around every metropolitan area, and all the building has to be within that blue line, and they will eventually eradicate the people living in the urban areas. I mean,
Jeez.
the rural areas by taxes, rainwater runoff fees.
Oh yeah, we've seen that a lot too. Like here in Colorado, I think they've tried to stop people from collecting rainwater.
Oh no! What this is they look at your land, and if it has any degree of radiation from high to low, they measure that for how much water will run off of it, how much building you have on your land. If you have, several outbuildings, then water can't escape under there, and your house and your driveway. One church in South Carolina paid $2,500 a month rainwater runoff fee.
Oh my gosh.
Austin, Texas takes in $800 million in property taxes a year, and they take in $400 million in rainwater runoff fees. So, and that's just one of the things.
Yeah.
There's so many they're doing now.
Yeah, could you imagine if we were being taxed for our carbon output? My God, where would all that go?
Oh, Washington State's about to do that.
Oh.
That's on the ballot there. So it's all happening, and the other E is the equity, the social justice.
Yes.
You can major in social justice at the colleges. In fact, the main majors they have are all these, asinine, ridiculous. Those snowflakes are majoring in things that they can never get a job in, because how many people get to be social justice warriors and make money?
And make a salary. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe George Soros would hire you, I guess.
Oh, did you see the people picketing him because he hired them to what was it at the Kavanaugh hearings or something?
Oh yeah.
And he hadn't paid them, so they were picketing him.
Yeah, well, we've seen that even during the presidential election. He was bussing people in, and they try to make, the media tries to make it like it's a huge swath of people that are outraged. Most of these people are just getting paid.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course this is they have to.
Right.
Even the Black Lives Matter stuff, they bust people in. You ask them what they stand for, they have no idea.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot with videos with all these different groups, Antifa, all these, just craziness. But it seems like it's all leading up to this midterm election, which is 2 days away.
Yep.
How do you think that's going to play out? Yeah.
Here's the thing. I truly believe if we have a fair election, that it's very obvious. What I'm seeing is very obvious that it's going to be a red state election. But you have to keep in mind all of the illegals that have been brought into the country recently, all of the dead people in cemeteries,
yes,
all of the people that have been paid to vote 8 times under different names. They did that in the last election, and they thought that they had enough people. They had, they were listening to their own stupid advisors that were saying, Trump is so far behind, because they just wanted the people. They kept saying that to make people believe it, and the people didn't believe it.
No.
But they did.
Yeah, yeah, they believe their own bullshit polls, right?
Isn't that fabulous?
It is. It's great.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's great. So this one though, we've seen a lot of tweets from like celebrities. Celebrities love to give their input. I can't remember who it was that said if Democrats don't take back the House, there'll be blood on the streets. These people some of them can be pretty extreme, and beyond that, they have a lot of hate. It's almost like they don't even love their own country anymore. And a lot of it is the media's fault. We've seen it. the media pushing this, and they blame it on Trump, or they'll blame it on whoever, whoever's the next target is, Kavanaugh. Do you think if we do have a red tsunami, if we do keep control of the House for Republicans, do you think the liberals, there'll be a lot of meltdowns and riots and such, or a lot of that's probably just blown out of proportion?
Come on, look at all the ones that they leave the country. I mean,
Yeah.
one person I think left the country. No, they're full of vitriol and things. I don't see that, but I do see Soros and company paying people to get more violent. There was a New York Times headline, I think it was yesterday, how the government sees that white supremacy is so dangerous and they have no idea how to tackle it. What's white supremacy? There's what, 50 of them out there? Seriously.
Yeah.
But they, the mainstream media is not media. I mean, it's only media in name only, because it's the mouthpiece for the powers that be that want to form this one world government under sustainable development, and so but it's fascinating. I mean, I don't have television, so
Good
I don't
for you.
see the news. But,
That's good.
but when you see it, you're looking at these people that are saying these things, and you're saying, how can they say that with a straight face? How can they go home at night and look in the mirror?
I don't know.
And
they must be getting paid pretty well. A lot of times I remember Jim Acosta during the North Korea peace talks. He was throwing a big fit, going all wild, and people were saying, well, can't we just get rid of this guy? Is this guy breaking laws or something, or he's damaging us? They say, well, somebody had said, do you think it's good to get rid of him or just keep him there? Like Nancy Pelosi or Maxine Waters, these characters that almost do more damage to their own cause. It seems like they're just burying themselves.
Yes, I love it. I think, yes. Maxine Waters, I mean, what does this tell you about the people that vote for her? I mean, she's such a joke. It's unbelievable. Or that congressman that said that one of the islands in the South Pacific was going to turn over on its side and sink because of global warming.
Yeah.
And these people get elected?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Yeah, hopefully we can get some good done in the next couple days. I hope so. I think it's looking pretty good for us right now, as far as those who just want free or common sense. Do we want common sense? Yeah. I think so. I want to go back for a minute to the environmental talk. Our producer, Ted, he had texted me and said something about the World Wildlife Fund. Do you know much about them? He was saying that a lot of the land in it belongs to the royal family. Have you had much dealings with the World Wildlife Foundation at all?
Yes, but they are the controlling group on the environmental side. And I mean, they have been around a long time, and they changed their name. It's still WWF, but
they've changed it a little, huh?
A little. Yeah, exactly. They are trying to capture all of the cattle ranches and things.
Oh.
They are the leading group that is pushing the sustainable, but it be sustainable agriculture, sustainable, everything, and they are the key for the environmental side of it.
Yeah, they're a big group.
They are.
He was saying they administer 52 million acres or something.
at least. And they're an NGO, and I need to bring this up.
Sure.
A non-governmental organization. And I'm backing up a little bit because PETA and Humane Society of the United States are now NGOs with the UN, which means they have the power and the clout of the UN behind them.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why I think that they've grown so much bigger in the last 20 years. And yes, World Wildlife Fund has been an NGO for a long time. And so they have been the ones trying to stop tuna fishing, so many things that the environmental groups have an Environmental Grant Makers Association, and the grants are handed out to the organizations. The grants are run by like the Rockefellers, all these old scions of early American families, and so
yeah, like Rockefellers, maybe even the Rothschilds are involved.
exactly, and so what it is it isn't. They like the Sierra Club and all those try to pretend that it's just ordinary people that got together and are doing this, but that's all BS. It's all planned, and back when we had the Wise Use Group, the Grant Makers Association got together trying to figure out how to do away with us, and one of them stood up and said, well, regretfully, they really are what they say they are, grassroots groups, so there's no silver bullet, because they thought we were like they are, being controlled by say the Republican Party or something.
Right, okay.
So it's good versus evil, truly, truly, truly. It is black and white.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. And it seems like the wheat is being separated from the chaff more and more every day. See, we can see the sides being split, There's one side and there's another. Obviously, everybody's got their own little beliefs here and there, but it seems like it is really good versus evil.
It is good versus evil. One of the things they're also doing in that line is they're trying to make a universal church so that they can bring all of the churches under one organization. And this is really good in Tom's book, Erase. Bring all the churches under one organization, but the key is going to be that they worship Gaia or Mother Earth or whatever you want to call her.
Okay.
And it's going to, but here's the important why I break this up. The American Constitution was built on Judeo-Christian religious traditions, on the English Bill of Rights.
Mm-hmm.
And if we lose Christianity and or Judaism, we will lose our Constitution, because you have to have that basis in order to keep not that our Constitution isn't being eroded faster than you can imagine.
Right.
But people have to have these beliefs. And you just look at it. If you don't have a belief, if you don't have a belief in right and wrong, if you don't have a moral compass, then anything goes. And I'll just give an example.
That's true.
The Pride Parade in San Francisco, where, okay, that's an example. There is no moral compass. If you're having sex in the middle of the street when kids are watching and everything else,
That's no good. Yeah. I mean, we're all for people assembling and standing up for what they believe in, but some of these groups take it a little too far, like that. Yeah, we've seen a lot of examples like that. Yeah, that should be illegal. Having sex in the street. But
Well, it should be illegal to poop in the street, but San Francisco just made a law you can, and they pay people $80,000 a year to clean it up.
wow, that's an insult to janitors across the country. Gosh. Well, I don't know if they make that much, but yeah, San Francisco, what a place. Wild place. And we've seen that, like, cities across America, especially in California, we've seen these people that'll videotape walking through these areas, even in other parts of the world too, where it's just been degraded so badly. Homeless populations growing in just these tent cities, and that's all just part of their plan. Do you think? I mean, the United Nations is involved in this, and these characters like George Soros, they're all involved in just degrading America and taking away prosperity as best they can. Do you agree?
Yes, the redistribution of wealth, and one other part of Agenda 21 Sustainable Development is to reduce the human population by approximately 90%.
Oh,
and so they're accomplishing that. California is an incredible example of what they're trying to do to this country, literally eradicate it from within. And the people that run California, Governor Moonbeam and the rest, obviously they think they're useful idiots. They think that they're going to be included in the hierarchy that's going to take over after they get rid of all of us peons out here. But they're stupid. They're not going to be.
Yeah, they're going to be part of the suffering. They're not going to join the likes of the quote unquote elites, right?
That's right. And one of the other things they're doing is they're going to start pushing for what is called food. I forget the term, where all the food that your city can have must be grown within 100 miles of that city. And if your city's next to another city, there's going to be a big intersection of that, and you're going to say, and who gets to fight over all that food that they, it's a food shed. That's what it's called, a food shed. There's so many things going on that it's almost, I mean, we could talk for the next 20 hours and
yeah, right. Try to cover it all. Well, we don't have to talk about every little thing, but I'd like to ask you, what is the clear and present danger for you? What do you see at the forefront as the biggest threat to the American people and American prosperity, American freedom?
Our schools we've lost at least 2 generations. If we lose one more, we will no longer have people running our country. I mean, look, these snowflakes are going to be running our country pretty soon. And you have to think about it. If we lose our schools, we're going to lose everything. And the only thing that gives me hope is how many millions of people keep going to homeschooling.
Yeah.
And what is yours? What is your thought on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think the schools, we have a couple children ourselves, and we've seen it. We've seen the school, they come home thinking one thing, and hey, that's not something I'd want to teach you. Yeah, homeschool is definitely a great option if you can do it. A lot of people can't do it. A lot of people have to work 2 jobs, and both people have to work. There's not enough time, not enough money. It's almost like we've been corralled into using public schools, and they've been degraded to the point where it's it's not, the kids come home and they've learned so much, but they don't even know how the wind blows. But
They they learn so much, but they're being taught things that are wrong. They're being taught values that you don't believe in. I think the one thing people need to do, what we need to do as a country, is get the federal government out of the schools and
yes,
let each community run their own school. And that in itself would, I mean, we would have to rewrite textbooks, because now in textbooks you don't learn about the Constitution, you don't learn about the founders.
right, yeah, that needs to be a necessity for all children in school in America, I would think.
Yes, you have to do it to pass, to get to be a citizen. Um, but well, I don't know what the citizenship test is anymore, but I know it was. You had
Yeah,
to know these things.
right. You had to know certain things that school children didn't know. Let's just say that about our own country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Trump and his or his administration and who he put in charge of the Department of Education, do you think they're trying to move that forward? Do you know anything about that? Do you think they're
Well, Betsy DeVos
yeah.
is pro Common Core, which is the program that they have that was No Child Left Behind, all that. No, if and people say she's changed, but I mean, she was so pro Common Core. I question, has she really?
Right.
So
Yeah. We've seen that a lot too. Trump, he'll pick people and we'll be like, "What? Why?" Um Obviously the office of the president is no easy task, and you have a lot of choices and a lot of picks, and you got to hope you're picking the right people and they have the right agenda, or what they say is their agenda. Um, isn't she a big on homeschooling? I thought I heard that. No.
I don't. I can't. I don't know. I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because
But also, as they're trying to say, homeschoolers must teach to the books that the public schools are teaching to. The
right.
new math and all that. I've been part-time working as a tutor in algebra, geometry, trig, and it is amazing what these kids don't know.
I know, man. So you teach mathematics then?
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the things you've noticed that kids don't know these days? That kind of shocks you. I guess a lot of things.
Oh, multiplication. They are not allowed to teach the timetable, because that
Really?
is rote, and rote is wrong. Okay, think about that. If you don't know the timetables, uh, every one of these kids, I mean, seriously, bright kids, but they in reading, when they're teaching kids reading, they'll teach them a little phonics, but they also teach them sight words. And sight words means you look at the word and you memorize it. But that
Oh,
is this is what is making, that I've read, is making kids dyslexic, because they can't really read unless you read all the words phonetically. You come to these bumps, and you just and in the school book itself it says, well, it's all right if they see a word and they substitute it for another word just because they didn't know it, because that gives the sentence meaning too. They're I
yeah.
mean, what kind of kid can feel good about taking a test and screwing up 16 times and getting an A because she tried?
Yes. Yeah. And you'd wrote a recent article I had read. You sent it to me. It's called the 10 September 10th, he wrote, "Political correctness, just one tool in the arsenal of sustainability." He talked about our schools and this political correctness and the choice of which books are included, which literature is politically correct, or something that we can give children. I mean, who's making these decisions? You think the parents would have to be involved at all, but who's making them now?
Okay, parents are not involved.
No.
They're not. I don't even know. Do they have PTA meetings anymore? They really don't want parents involved because parents don't understand what they want to do to our children. And the National Education Association, it was NTA, NEA. They have a political agenda, and it was just said that people no longer have to join the unions, and the NTA says we don't care. We're going to go, what was the word, like political on steroids or something. I mean, they have an agenda.
Yes.
And the sad thing is there are people who go into teaching without realizing this is happening, but they either have to leave teaching or they have to do what they're told and not really be teaching the kids.
Yep. Yeah, they have to follow the curriculum, right?
Yep. Teach to the test is what they call it. Teaching to the test. Here are the things that are going to be on the test, so we're going to learn these things, even if they're stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you don't fall in line, you're at risk of losing your job, right? I had seen some teachers in Idaho for Halloween had dressed up as the wall. The wall on the southern border. They were all bricks, making the wall that Trump wants to build on the border. And got a lot of hate from the liberals, a lot of attacks. I mean, you can't even almost have your own opinions, or even, we've seen that with like people wearing "Make America Great Again" hats. I mean, fine, they want to wear a hat that says "Make My Country Great Again," and they get, violently attacked for it. And with teachers, it seems like, if they don't step in line, if they don't follow that curriculum or follow that, full steam ahead globalism type mentality, that they're at risk of not being a teacher or not being called a teacher anyways.
Yes, and this is all part of the programming, and it's using peer pressure to force you to accept things that you would never accept otherwise. But peer pressure is really, really strong, and people don't understand that. And political correctness is using peer pressure to get people to think. Like, I think I mentioned it in that article I wrote, that early on when I had putting people first, I got a call from the Sacramento Bee asking me, to talk about my organization.
That's right.
And I explained it to him, and he said, well, do you realize, I said, animal rights maybe make up 3% of the population. The people that eat meat and drink milk, blah, 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 we're the everyday people. We're the norm. And he says, yes, but they're politically correct, and you're not. And I said, if I ever get called politically correct, that's when I'm going to slit my throat, because but this is the thing. Political correctness is the right thing if they say so, even if 90% of America doesn't agree with them. And when I would give speeches out there, and I would stand up and explain this, and I would say almost every speech I would give, somebody would come up and say, oh, I think like you do, but I've never been able to put it into words. And that's because these are just pure moral values that you have in you, and you've never had to put them into words because you haven't had to defend that you're a farmer, a rancher, a zookeeper. You never had to defend that. That was part of the fabric of America.
Yes.
And now our whole fabric is being rent out from underneath us.
Yes. Man, and you've done such a great job with your book to shine a light on a part of it that I myself didn't even know about, that they would use, the animal rights movement to go against human rights. And, like you say, dairy farmers, a lot of dairy farmers have gone away. Farmers, they're struggling. A lot of dairy farmers have been struggling. Just so much. I mean, you've even mentioned zookeepers. Gosh, I didn't even think about that. But that's just a great job you've done shining a light on that, because that's something I don't think many people know about. And we look at just people that have bleeding hearts for animals. Like PETA, we're like, oh, those people just really, really love animals. But we don't see the hidden agenda behind it.
Well, it's more important than that. The average animal rights activist has 5 pets each, but they aren't the ones that make the rules. They aren't the ones that spend the money. It's the leaders that make the rules, that spend the money, and it doesn't matter if your next door neighbor has, a soft spot in her heart for animals and belongs to PETA or the Humane Society. They don't have any say. They have no say. It's only these people that are manipulating them. And part of what SAR, the organization I'm on the board of now, is trying to do is to educate the public to these things, to the fact that animal rights is not a nice, cuddly, sweet little group. They've supported Rodney Coronado bombing a mink ranch. He went. I mean, they not just support, but paid for it. And back when we were fighting them, their attorney was also the attorney for the PLO.
Okay. What's PLO stand for?
Palestinian Liberation Organization.
Okay.
Remember them?
Yeah.
So he played dirty. So, but anyway.
So what did you just say, though, about bombing a mink farm? Is that what you said? What was that about?
Yeah, they bombed research labs, Animal Liberation Front.
Yeah. I think we all kind of remember them.
Yes, you remember them. Well, they'll be back.
I think they're back. They're just not fighting for animal rights anymore. They're just fighting for insanity, it seems.
but that's part of it. Animal rights is just the lunatic fringe of sustainable development. They love them. It's like Earth First is the lunatic fringe of the environmental movement. Right. Earth First makes Nature Conservancy look like a nice organization, which they are awful.
Yeah. So, what would be your advice to listeners in the audience, and even myself? What would be our best way to combat against these groups? What's your advice on that? What to watch for?
When they come to your town and try to put on the ballot any kind of, like California right now is going to have on the ballot that if you want to sell your produce, whether it's eggs or whatever, in California, it has to be raised to California standards. Now, Massachusetts had done this, and there's already a lawsuit about it because most of Massachusetts produce like that is not raised in Massachusetts. And how dare Massachusetts tell people in Pennsylvania how to raise their chickens?
Right.
So you have to look, and in Florida they have an anti-greyhound racing bill, which is really just they want to make more casinos or gambling joints and do away with greyhound racing. And greyhound dogs love to run, and just like the circuses, the people who have these animals love them, and these animals are taken, they have so much care taken with them. But you can doctor a film or make up something, and people believe it.
Yes.
But the good thing is, several years ago, the Ringling Brothers Circus, I think it was Ringling Brothers, or one of the circuses, sued Humane Society and PETA and all that. They won $24 million settlement against them because they send this guy in, one of their people. This is a typical animal rights tactic. Go in and do something really awful, have it filmed, and say that this was common stuff they do. And the guy was a plant, and he was the one that was doing the bad stuff. And so they make it look nasty. The circus won, but they had to get rid of all their elephants because it's just most cities won't allow elephants in the circus anymore because of animal rights. So just you look for any law against anything that has to do with animals. You look at that law very closely that they're trying to pass, and most of them, I would just say no matter what, because the odds are it's 99 out of 100 times you're going to be right. One thing is liberals like to make laws. I had a friend from Montana visiting me, and she's very liberal, and we were talking, and we went out to lunch, and she wouldn't use the straw because she wanted to do her part in saving the animals in the ocean. And I said, how are these straws here, hundreds of miles inland, ever going to get to the ocean? And she said, well, they should make a law that nobody can use straws.
My gosh. What is the straw thing about anyways? Can you explain that to me? I've heard of it, but
a straw was stuck into the nose of a porpoise. I think it was a porpoise, somebody got it out, and this child, a school child, said that we need to do away with straws to save the animals in the ocean. And people California, no plastic straws. It's just,
it's illegal for restaurants to hand them out or something. You can get a fine.
Yes, and it's just, common sense, sound science, and civility. Those are the three things that we need in this country so badly, and
Absolutely.
It's so lacking. And just, you want to do something good, help stop the meth problem, help all these people that are getting addicted, and they're losing their children. Do something, anything, but don't quit drinking the straws.
Yeah, because that's kind of an attack on people too. Because think about if somebody gets a fine or something happens to them because they handed out a straw at a restaurant. So they lost the right to hand out straws now?
Yeah. But, take away, how many of our rights do we have to lose before we wake up and realize we're not free people? We don't own our homes, because let me tell you, you can have paid for your house outright. And if you don't pay those taxes every year and all the fees, you might as well not have paid for your whole house.
Yep. And that's another thing that Tom DeWeese with the AmericanPolicy.org, he touches on why property rights matter. And it shows how people today perceive property rights in a dramatically different way from ideals held by our founders. and early Americans. Um, we've seen that with like the housing crash. A lot of banks own the houses now that have been foreclosed, and they can't just let homeless people live in them because that would drive down the property values. But a lot of people don't own property anymore. There's probably farms that are owned by Monsanto now that used to be owned by American families, right?
Yeah, well, that you're hitting on two things. One, everybody owns property. You own your clothing, your books,
Right.
your thought. Though that's your property. But what the government is doing is taking away property rights, and and in the old days it was, well, if they take away the printing presses, then you don't have freedom of speech. Now, that's exactly what Facebook and
Yeah.
they're taking away your right to speak out.
Exactly.
But property rights, people have to understand the Kelo case in Rhode Island, the little pink house, where this Pfizer wanted to open up a new complex, build their big research facility, put in hotels and restaurants for their people. So they went to Rhode Island and they said, if you'll give us this area, we'll do this. And of course, the city said, oh, we'd love to. And this is going on all over the country. We would love to, because think, those 5 or 6 or 7 houses, we get very little in property tax, but this huge building and everything, think of the taxes that are going to come in. And this case went to the Supreme Court, and nobody, not on either side, nobody thought that Pfizer would win, but they did.
Wow.
And this one woman is the one, Suzette Kelo, stood up against it. Now, here's what happened. They demolished all those houses, and Pfizer decided to go somewhere else. So now they have this vacant area. They deserve it. They deserve it. But this is going on, and this has been going on for 20 years, that they go into a perfectly good neighborhood, and they say, well, we want to have multi-family houses built here. We'll get more money, right?
Yeah.
So they've done that. They've done that in Illinois. I mean, so many places. And so
Detroit.
the property.
Detroit's a good example.
Detroit.
Yeah.
But and you notice all these cities that are such a mess are liberal cities, because they put in all these laws that are going to give all of this universal income, and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Yep. Yeah, that really hurts businesses.
Well, my husband was an attorney, and he said, every time, you have basic laws. You can't kill, you can't steal.
Right.
Once you go beyond that, people can find a way around those laws. Once you start making all these gazillion laws, it's just, it only hurts the little people, and that's what they want. They want to hurt the little people, because the little people can't afford a lawyer smart enough to figure out how to get around them.
Right.
But,
exactly. Yeah. Did your husband, when he was a lawyer, you said he mostly helped set up businesses, huh? Did he have any big fights or battles?
Oh, he was the attorney for Prop 13 in California.
Oh, wow.
He started the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. Yeah, he had a lot of big battles. He did, and he was a brilliant man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame that he's gone now. We need a lot of brilliant men out there. Obviously this generation will pass away, the next one will, and that's why it is so important. You mentioned schools, that we really do need to raise the next generation, and it seems like millennials, this generation that's coming, the largest one of all, um, yeah, they've been raised by television, been raised by these propaganda news, fake news. Do you see a
Yep.
light at the end of the tunnel? Do you see things churning around? Do you think common sense is coming back? Like with this Trump movement, they didn't expect this, and we do have hope, right?
Of course we have hope. We always have to have hope. We're alive. I think, like I said to you the other day, is that Trump gave us a breather, gave us a break. If Hillary had been elected, we would be so far down the road to sustainable development we'd never get out. He has given us time to wake up people, to get them educated, because there's a lot of Trump voters that don't understand all that's going on, and they need to. And these are the simple things, learning that our education system, we used to be the best in the world, and now I don't know what number we are,
like
73
or something.
something
like
terrible.
that,
And it's our children, and what they're teaching is socialism, and the thing is that kids have no idea what social. They might have been watching Venezuela on television, on the news all this time, but not being put together. Venezuela is because of socialism.
Yes.
I was a stewardess with Pan Am, and we used to fly into Caracas, and let me tell you, that city was one of the richest, incredible cities around, and now, I mean, that it take a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread, but there isn't any bread to buy, and people are selling their children, and this is, I mean, socialism is so horrible, but yet they're teaching that capitalism is
evil.
Evil, and yet it is the most free system that we have. It's not perfect, but it's 99 times more perfect. No,
it's a lot better.
To it's the not, ninth.
Yeah, it's not the perfect system, but it's a lot better than socialism, because I mean, Venezuela is a great example. And somebody had said, you know, a lot of people will say, well, socialism is the best thing. We need to move towards socialism. And they'll say, well, why are the migrant caravans heading here right now when they should be heading to Venezuela, right? That's where it's socialism.
Exactly. It's, you know, but the problem is people don't use reason anymore. They don't. They have been. The schools have undone reason, and they talk about teaching children how to figure things out. I remember back in the early 90s, I was reading a textbook, and it says, well, you're going to learn how to, what's the term? You're going to learn how to use your brain. Anyway. And here's the problem. Global warming is destroying our world. What are we going to do to fix it? And I'm saying, wait a minute. First, shouldn't they be asking, is global warming destroying our world? And figure that out before you go on to pretend you're learning the scientific method, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're just, don't read the school books.
Yeah. Well, we had an article earlier, I think it was on GLP. It was 1 in 4 statisticians, they're the ones that do the statistics, were trying to be bribed. 1 in 4 in America have been offered to alter their statistics. You know, we might, a lot of, when it comes to scientific data, we got to wonder if some of that isn't altered, because where there, you know, there's huge money at risk. Right next to this huge grant money, we have huge corruption, possibly. So, you got to wonder about some of these things when you look at like the polls that, oh, Hillary's going to win. It's a done deal. Go home. Well,
that's two different things.
Well,
though.
definitely.
The Hillary thing was, but yes, that all of the scientific journals, or let's say 99.9% of the scientific journals, are garbage now, and they have been since the 90s, because once government got into research and they're funding it, then they control what comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the guy at Harvard, the cardiac specialist that just gotten proven that he faked his data. And we all know that the global warming data, the IPCC, was totally fake. Even when it first came out, there were a number of researchers on that program that refused to sign it because the numbers had been changed to say that there is global warming. And there's so many things that are so false with the global warming stuff, like having their sensors at airports and other heat sinks, the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Not out. So,
we've seen
the
that
problem is
too with
you can't believe anything.
Definitely. No. Especially if it's coming from the television or some mainstream news.
Or the government.
Yes, or the government. The government, a lot of these government organizations, they've all been failures. But, failures is good because that means more tax money to fix the problem. Constantly never fixing the problem, but we're always paying to try to fix it. All these big, bad, problems that, oh, it's for the children, oh, it's for the environment, like you say. And Tom had wrote something about, this is getting a little off topic, but a little more about the anti-Trump riots are smokescreens for the real goal, which is to eliminate the Electoral College. And that's something we had seen where people were complaining about the Electoral College after the presidential election. And that's just another big indicator of people don't even know how their country runs, right? I mean, they didn't even know about the Electoral College.
They have no idea. But everything, you have to understand, those weren't failures that our government has done. They did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has to look behind the curtain. You have to look and see what it's like everything that you see on media now. If they're talking about something, you just say, okay, what are they what are they not talking about that this talk is hiding from you?
Exactly.
And everything every time they come up with something, you just have to look behind it to see what are they hiding now? The whole Kavanaugh thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, the FBI knew from day one that none of that was true, but they made the whole thing about that, and the government, the Congress is supposed to advise and consent not to have this ridiculous hearing over something. Something so stupid. He didn't rape her. Not that it isn't. If he did rope her, I'm sorry, but they made a huge deal out of it, and she got caught in all these lies. I don't fly, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I got to drive across the country, and it was a total setup. I think,
but they didn't ever get into where he stands on the Fourth Amendment,
mm-hmm.
where he stands on. They didn't want to get, because I think that Trump picked him because he thought the Democrats would be behind him, not realizing that at this point it had to be about the midterm elections, so they couldn't, they had to fight him on it. But he he signed on to the what the thing that the TSA is in and all. The I'm running on empty.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, if he was a Democrat before, I don't know if he's too happy with the Democrats now. Not that they can really be politically affiliated judges, but yeah,
oh come on.
yeah, right. They attacked him very much and his poor family. Yeah, that was just a shame, absolute shame. Um, but do you think
And
he was a good pick,
where are they?
Kavanaugh?
We'll see.
Yeah,
I
right.
think we have to be very outspoken when he starts coming down on the wrong things. We really have to be, obviously there's no holding their feet to the fire because they're elected till they die. So what are you going to do? But
Yeah.
it's just that you need to know going in what to expect with them. And how could anybody know what to expect from him when it's never discussed? It was all
Right.
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors.
And that's another thing you had mentioned, like when the media starts talking about something, we need to look for the hidden, agenda. Well, a lot of times they'll talk about things just to turn the public's attention away from something else. I think that happened a lot during the Obama administration where things were going on, but we were so worried about, Justin Bieber got a DUI or whatever. Or, the media is great at doing that, but it seems like now with the internet getting more popular with like Trump on Twitter and all these other sources of information, they're trying to lock that down with Facebook censorship. And all this other censorship. And it's kind of funny how Trump did the nationwide cell phone
yes
message. Did you get that, by the way? I got it. That was
yes,
great.
I did. No, that is great. But a key thing is that what were you just talking about?
Oh yeah.
Hi.
Just getting around the media, getting out of the media's hold on our perception, I think, or the public. A lot of people are still asleep.
Well, okay, here's what I was going to get to. The Republican Party in D.C., they are, I call them Republicrats, because, look, we had control of the House.
I know.
And yet, under Obama, we had a lot of control of that last top part. And what did they accomplish? They have all these wonderful hearings. Trey Gowdy, people would sit at their TV and go, yay, Trey.
Yeah.
How many people ever had a congressional hearing after he did this? Did they bring Hillary up for all of her stuff? Never. And you can't say that, the Republicans have control.
Yeah.
They are in it as deep as the Democrats.
Yep.
We got to understand that you don't get to Washington, D.C. and not play their game. Either you're going to get bought out, you're going to get threatened out, or you're just going to get unelected quite quickly because you got to be on their team. And Congress doesn't do anything. It's the court and the executive. We don't have a three-party system. All they do is take all the lobby money, and they do a lot of this bread and circuses so that people don't see what's really going on while they're holding these fun hearings to watch. But they don't.
The entertainment division. Yeah, people have mentioned that too, like with Trey Gowdy. It's like, wow, he's fighting for us, but nobody'd ever get, arrested or, there would be
nothing.
Right. And I think a lot of people are frustrated because Hillary Clinton did break a lot of laws. Just the whole deal with their servers and the mishandling of SAPs. That's just blatant illegality. A lot of people, I think, are scratching their heads at how we can't have law and order again. And I guess a lot of it's on this election, midterms, hoping that we can get some fresh blood in there.
Yes, but people have to be held accountable, and allowing an ambassador to be killed for political reasons and blaming it on a video. I mean, this woman needs to be held accountable.
Yes.
And
lock her up.
And she's saying she's going to run again. I mean,
I hope she does. That'd
yes,
be fun.
I agree. I agree. She hates the people. She said it. She can't talk to us people.
Well, we're deplorables, so that's pretty
proudly.
Let me ask you something, Kathleen. Do you know much about QAnon?
About what?
QAnon?
No? I've seen a little bit of it, but no, I don't know. Tell me about it.
Well, it's just it's an anonymous person that posts online who says he's in with the Trump organization, and he's been posting a lot of these little breadcrumbs about military tribunals and secret arrests that are happening behind the scenes, that Trump's really behind the scenes, that they're about to round up everybody. I just didn't know if you were into that at all. Some people think it's just all fantasy, and some people think it's real, but I mean, I just wanted to see if you knew about it. I
think that if this person really knows this, come on, show it to us and we'll believe it. But, otherwise it's like a distraction, make you think that something's happening when nothing is. But I don't know.
Right.
I haven't researched that, so
That's
I
fine.
can't.
That was just a question that was thrown out there. I thought I'd ask you. What are you working on now? Do you got anything in the works? Any new books or anything? Or has Tom got anything he's working on?
We're always writing. We're always working on the issues. He's putting together some conference calls for people, property right conference calls.
Oh.
And he'll discuss different issues. And you can, if you go on the website, you can sign up for them. And
okay, and that is AmericanPolicy.org?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Great. Yeah. And, he was talking about the property rights. What are some important things you could tell people about property rights and what they should be looking out for with that?
First, without property rights, you're not free. You're not free. You are a slave. Every town is putting in these smart growth cities, smart streets, all these things. All of them, and this would take another hour to describe, but what they want to do is, have you where you no longer drive a car. The streets have to be bike and pedestrian friendly. And the lower level of a building is going to be stores, restaurants, dry cleaners, so you don't have to go anywhere. And then there'll be housing, and then above that, offices. Mm-hmm. This is the ultimate. And there's going to be a park every so often, so you can go out and see what grass looks like. But and seriously, I think they're literally taking this from the book, The Ideal Communist City, that I mentioned in that article I sent you.
Oh yeah. What is that?
They want to. This is a book that was written for East Germany to tell them how to build their cities, and it was written by a bunch of Russians. The main thing is that the government wants to control your children from the day they're born. They don't want to wait until you get into kindergarten. They want to control your children because they say we have to socialize these children to make them understand that the individual is not important. It's the group.
Yes, we've heard that a lot.
Yes, and that's what's going on in the schools. They're saying people who believe in nationalism are the the
Nazis.
white supremacists. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
white. Well, but the Nazis were
Socialists.
were
Yeah.
on the left. Yes,
Right.
but people call them the right wing. Nazism and fascism are right left wing.
Yes. Yes, and we see that a lot with Nazis would burn books or whatever, and they'd shun ideas and censorship of ideas. Well, isn't that what we're kind of doing on these college campuses when we won't allow certain speakers to come in and we won't allow people to, have an opinion that, like, oh, I'm a nationalist or I love my country. I want it to be great again. That's a hateful and racist idea now. That's
Well, kind of. We're not kind. They're not kind of doing it unless you agree with them. You don't speak on campus. When I wrote my book, one of the things, there was this animal rights newspaper that was sent all over the country, and when he was putting out his last article, he put in a letter from one of the people that said, what we need to do is go to all the bookstores and find AnimalScam and open up the pages and spit in it, and then show the salespeople so that they have to get rid of this book.
wow.
And they put it all in there, and I called them up, and I said, you've been, of all the animal rights rags that I've read, you've been the most reasonable. And I said, I cannot believe that you put that letter in. Oh, and the letter was written by somebody that, what was it? Fahrenheit 415 or whatever, the burning temperature of paper. And so he apologized to me, and he said, no, you're right, I should have never allowed it. And I said, but you're not sending out any more newspapers, so your people don't understand. They're going to be doing this stuff. They're going to be going into bookstores trying to ruin my book. I mean, just
gosh, these people, and a lot of times they think that they can lean towards criminality to get their point across. Their mission is more important, so they can steal your signs out of your yard or beat up somebody wearing a MAGA hat or whatever, and all these illegal activities, even like fraud, or going into your bookstore and spitting on your books, and it's all just it's insanity. It's so crazy that you receive so much hostility too from it. It must have been just a lot of these big organizations pushing mindless people out there to do their bidding for them. We see that a lot too with the fake news.
Absolutely, but the best part of it was, I told you I was almost a recluse, and it took me a while to learn how to give a speech without shaking so badly. But the best part was and it didn't take me too long, when I started debating them. And the first debate I was at was at University of Georgia, and I think they had 3 or 4 buses of, animal rights wackos. They bust in. But I was so nervous. It was a good thing the green room was right by the stage, because I would have never made it. I'm standing there debating this woman, and I keep waiting for her to hit me with something. And there was nothing there. Nothing there. I got to say all the things that chopped her down, but she didn't have anything to say, other than something. Well, if you didn't eat meat, you'd be a lot thinner, or stuff like that. Just nothing. And I said, there were some black people in the audience, so I said, animal rights wants to think their fight is the equivalent of the fight for equal rights.
Yeah.
And I said, how does that make you feel? these people saying you're the equivalent of a rat. How do you? But
that's the tactics they use, though.
But people just have to get educated, because once you start speaking up, they have nothing there. They, like you say, they think the ends justify the means. So if they have to start beating up people, or like they did in Charlotte, Soros hired both the Black Lives Matter and the white supremacists to go after each other. You know, they have to do it because they don't have enough white supremacists. I mean, in Montana, I visited this guy who was the head of Montana militia, and I would say he was probably a white supremacist, but you never heard of him doing anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, we see that, like, the tactics they use, like, they bus in people. They love to bus in people. And it's great that you made it out of that debate with your life, I guess. But, you know, you're so right. When you shield yourself with the truth, you use common sense, and you debate these people head on, they don't have anything. And then they go into violence. Usually that's the next thing when they can't. It's a shame. Do you think there's been a lot of brainwashing in this country? Obviously.
Another
question.
Another one. No, we just the LA just the city council just voted a fur ban for LA County, and
a fur ban. So you can't wear fur. You can't wear like a fur coat.
You can't buy fur.
You can't
there.
sell it. Okay.
So the two people that proposed this ban, we got a copy of their proposed ban, and we wrote up how this ban was. You know, this is a lie. This is a lie. This is a lie. Everything. You know. 9 out of 10 things that they stated were blatant lies, and yet they banned fur in LA. Now think about that, and take it from the specific to the general. What's going on all over this country is they're taking something that is under social justice, and they're banning things, or they're making laws against people doing things. Like in one university in Canada, professors have to talk to the person under their preferred, whatever the pronoun is, whether it's Z or, you know, all those alphabet things, under whether you're transgender, gay, whatever.
Right.
They have all of those pronouns they use, and there's 26 of them, and professors have to know which one you are. Hello?
Yeah, I'm part of the elephant tribe, or yeah, I've seen that. Like when we signed up for a Google account recently, it says, "What gender are you? Are you other? You know, there's male and female, or you could choose other, or you could choose." You know, it's so ridiculous. Yeah. And Target's letting, you know, you can use the bathroom you feel you're more acquainted to.
The best thing on that is all the transgender people that are winning all these things in women's racing, women's wrestling. You know, now what happened to Title IX? Title IX needs to be erased. If men can decide they're women, and they're obviously gonna beat them out all the time.
Okay. What's Title IX?
That was when they had to have equal. They had to give women's sports equal money, or you know, and they have to promote women's sports in the colleges and all.
Yeah.
But now, if men get to be women,
right?
Why aren't the women? Why aren't the feminists screaming about this?
Exactly. Yeah. Because that kind of makes it unfair in sports, definitely, right?
Kinda. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's madness. It's madness. So the midterms so close. What are some of the, if you don't mind talking about it, what are some of the ballots you're watching, the measures you're watching the closest, or are you watching a certain state?
I've been watching Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That's Texas. I
Yeah.
mean, the with Ted Cruz and what's that guy's name?
Beto O'Rourke, I think is his name.
Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
This. I mean, that guy has no substance at all. He's done nothing, and it's just you look all over the country. You're looking at these races, and you're going, I just can't believe that people are voting. I mean, look at what Cuomo's done in New York City, and yet, man, he's going to be reelected. But I still think if they can't alter the ballots enough, there is going to be a red tidal wave.
Well, it seems like initial forecasts are saying that. It looks like we'll see. I guess 2 more days. 2 more days.
I know.
Well,
I voted already.
Did you? Me too.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually came from North Dakota, so I voted. Hopefully, we can vote Heidi Heitkamp out. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, she's a goner. Although there's billboards everywhere with her face on it in that state. At least they think the majority likes Heidi, but we'll see what the majority really likes when the results come out. Well, Kathleen, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody, Kathleen, the Vice President of American Policy Center, you can check them out at americanpolicy.org. Is there anything else? Is there a way people can reach you if they'd like to talk with you? Do you have an email address or something?
Contact@americanpolicy.org.
Great.
I'm the one that answers the phone and the email, so.
Well, you are a very intelligent woman, and I thank you so much for coming on talking with me. People love this. We love this. I love that there's like-minded people out there that are out there doing the good work.
Thank you for letting me do it, because you wanted Tom, but he was on a cruise.
Oh, that's fine. We got you, but maybe one day we can get Tom too. Tom's on a cruise. Okay. He needs a vacation, huh?
He needed it. He hasn't had one in 3 years at least.
Oh, gosh. Well, good for him. I hope he enjoys it. All right, well, we'll let you go. You have a good night, Kathleen. And like I said, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you, Richard. I enjoyed it.
All right, we'll talk to you later, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everybody, that was Kathleen with the American Policy Center. She was joining us to talk about her book and her work at the American Policy Center. We're going to take a short break, 2-minute break. Stay right there. Maybe you'll call in and talk to me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Limerick called in. How you doing, Limerick?
I'm doing okay for once, by golly.
Good.
How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Hey, it's good to talk to you again. It's been a little while, a couple episodes, huh?
Well, I've missed a couple episodes here. I've had to work on the weekends. We had trouble at work, and unfortunately, I'm the guy that's got to iron it all out. So I had to put in some long hours and some weekends and stuff. We're in the aerospace industry, so
oh wow,
the pressure it's kind of nasty sometimes.
Yeah. What are you installing? Those chemtrail injectors?
Oh, God. You want to get on those? Is that where you want to go tonight?
Well, actually, we got the election coming up in 2 days. How do you feel about that?
Well, geez.
Yeah.
You really want to get me started on that one, huh? I'll tell you how I feel. I'm far right. I'm as far right as you can get, all right?
All right.
These guys are nuts. And unfortunately, I swear, I swear I see a civil war coming.
Really? Wow.
It's really looked bad. I can't see how you get around these people. You can't argue with them. You can't talk sense to them. And just like the woman was saying just a minute ago, you start to try to talk to them, and they resort to violence. They want to hit you.
Yep.
And, people like myself are only going to tolerate so much of this. At some point, I'm going to start popping people, okay? People are going to start coming up on me. This last video I saw on YouTube this other day, this guy that he went to some Democrat rally, and he started yelling something through a microphone, a megaphone.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
did he get attacked? No, I didn't see it. I seen something about it.
People up swinging on him. Oh, my stars. That lady would have come up on me. I'd have dropped her in her tracks.
Wow.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a little tiny girl. I'd have dropped you in your tracks. Somebody should have dropped her, and then these other guys come up. That can't be, okay?
No, that's ridiculous.
They take megaphones to Trump rallies and shit all the time. You don't see Republicans doing that.
Nope.
You don't see people on the right freaking out. These guys are completely out of hand, and it's because they don't have a playbook. They don't have any other options. It's all they can do. It's their only option left is violence. They don't have anywhere else to go. They don't have anything to say. They know they're beaten, and they just can't face it. And unfortunately, they're so badly brainwashed into this. I don't think there's any saving them. I really don't. I live in Seattle. Okay.
Yeah, Seattle. Oh gosh, man. Have you run into anything there?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All over the place. I'm not very large, but I'm a little bit stocky, and I have a certain look in my eye. Most people, I get that look. No, I'm not. I get a certain look in my eye, and most people can see it.
Yeah.
It speaks worlds to people. I wear my Make America Great hat again, and I see them going to say something to me, and they stop. They take one look at my face, and they take one look at the way that I'm staring right at them, and they realize that I'm probably going to sock them. So they don't say nothing because most of them have no spine whatsoever. They're everywhere here, purple hair and guys dressing like women. And like I said on here, there's only two genders.
Yeah.
Okay, you're either male or female. I don't care what you get chopped off. I don't care what drugs you get stuffed down your throat. You're not going to escape the fact of your gender. Okay? No matter what you do, no matter what you think, no matter what you got to say, you're either a male or a female, and whatever you were born as, that's what you are. No matter how you try, you're not going to escape that. And I don't care how you say you will. I don't care what you say. You're not going to escape it. Any of these other genders, that's brain damage, my friend. That's mental illness. That's all that is. The bathroom thing, oh, my God. That's crazy. What's worse, have you seen the Drag Queen Story Hour? Have you seen that one?
You were mentioning that in the chat. Tell me about that. I haven't seen that one.
God. Well, they'll bring a couple of garishly dressed transsexual men, and I mean, these are full-size 6-foot men that got faces like, they came out of a bar by the goddamn dock, all right? Just men, and they're garish makeup on, and they're wearing ungodly shit. And when I say ungodly, I mean ungodly. I mean with devil's horns on them, evil Halloween-looking stuff.
Oh, is that where they go and read stories to the kids? I think I see.
They read stories to the kids in the library. These are little 8- and 9-year-old
Wow.
kids.
What the heck?
They're trying to diversity, right? They're trying to
tolerance.
To accept the shape. That's crazy. Oh my God! If they did that, if my kid went to something like that, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah.
I'd probably go in there with an AK. I don't know what I'd do. I'd lose my mind though. That's just that. When I see that kind of stuff going on, my friend, I got to tell you,
it's upsetting.
I can see that it's the end of the days. We're heading toward the end. This kind of shit didn't happen in the past. Okay?
No, definitely
there weren't queens. Back in the Old West, there weren't drag queens running around talking to little kids, okay? It's gotten way out of hand. And the good thing is God dang it, there's a lot of good folks out there. There's a lot of good people that see this. And their eyes are opening, the veil's been lifted, but there's still so many people out there that don't see it.
Brainwashed, man. Brainwashed.
Yeah,
totally gone. Eyes glazed over.
They are gone.
Brains controlled by CNN or whatever.
And now we got the chemtrails. You wanted to go to the chemtrails, so I'll touch something with you.
So you said you're in the aerospace industry? Have you seen any kind of chemtrail stuff going on, or are you kind of on a different side of it?
No, I see stuff, but it's not to do with chemtrails. What I see is the fact that they don't fuel the jets.
Ooh.
No, if you know this or not, you're probably not going to believe me, and your people probably won't when I say this, but airliners, Emirates and American Airlines and stuff, they don't use fuel. They're flying on compressed air. The big engines that you see, now jets fly on fuel, and propeller-driven aircraft fly on fuel, but the big airliners and stuff, they do not.
Okay,
They
so
actually
the giant,
levitate.
like 747s?
On air, compressed air. It's sucked in through the tail through this little tube, and these engines are engineering marvels, and they run through all these different sets of fan blades, and it blows out the back, and it creates a vortex in front of the motor. And if you watch when a plane's taken off, you'll see the vortex pointing down toward the ground, and it's driving along, and all of a sudden they get going a certain speed, and they turn the motor up, and you'll see that vortex. There's a little whirlwind, like a little tornado in front of it. You can see it. It'll start going over the wing, and the minute it starts going over the wing, it lifts the whole plane up.
Wow.
It's all done with compressed air. That's why these big, giant airliners will seem to go straight up when they take off. That much weight, and they'll tell you that it's full of gas in the wings. Those wings are thin. Look how thin those wings are. And they say there's so many hundreds of thousands of pounds of fuel in there. There's not. That plane couldn't even move with that much fuel. It's impossible. There's not. Look it up on YouTube sometime, planes with no fuel. Look at all the videos. Look at the proof that's on there.
That's
blow you away.
interesting. I think.
Anyway, I see that firsthand.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've been to the airport a few times. I don't go there every day, but next time I go, I'm gonna have to look for that, see if they're fueling up the planes at all.
Watch them put an airplane up. They'll pull this little cart up, a little cart. It's a little tiny motorized cart, tiny. Okay, smaller than my car. All right, and they pull it up, and they hook this thing up to the wings for about 2 minutes, and then they unhook it and they drive away. And that's the fueling. Okay, There's no fuel in them. They need enough fuel to get the motor turning, and that's it. Once it starts sucking air, it's on its own. Okay, and this is hidden technology. This has been going on for 50 years, and we've not. They don't want us to know this shit.
Well, I spoke to Renaissance Ted once about the B bombers. I think it was the B-32. They use some kind of advanced exotic technology to not use a lot of fuel. Something like that.
Yeah, they don't use a lot of fuel. They needed it for bombs and everything else. So.
Yeah, some kind of electrogravitics, he was saying.
This is just the many things that they've kept hidden from us. We should be living in a utopia. We should be hundreds of years ahead of where we are right now. But they've hidden all this technology from us because they want us under their thumb.
I'm with you on that.
Pay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. The chemicals, they're beefing them up right now. They're putting more stuff in them. They're putting more chemicals in the chemtrails. They're putting other stuff in the chemtrails. Watch out. You laugh about a zombie apocalypse. They have drugs that'll do that.
I've seen that
turn you in.
On GLP. They're talking about that. What is that about?
It's either they're going to spray us with that or some kind of virus that's going to make everybody really sick and kill off a bunch of people. That's what I think is going on with the chemtrails. That, and they're hiding what else is going on. They're hiding the fact of the dome, and they're hiding the fact of the sun simulator and all the other crap that's going on. Trying to keep it a secret, but
the dome. Tell me about that, man.
It's coming out. It's coming out. But the bad thing about the chemtrails, the real bad thing about it, and this is going to freak you out, and I'm not kidding about this, there's aluminum in them. There's lots of aluminum in the chemtrails. It's dust. It's a fine, microscopic powder. There's also nanobots in there. We're all breathing it. We're full of aluminum. We're full of microscopic aluminum and nanobots. The aluminum, have you ever put tinfoil in a microwave and you see what it does?
Oh, yeah.
Sparks and crackles and burns. Well, all the cell phone towers that they've put up everywhere, and they're putting up more, those all run on about 400 watts right now. But if you look at the wires going up to the cell phones, we covered this the last time I talked. They're real thick. Those thick wires will cover like 9 volts. Yeah. They can really juice those towers up. And in other words, they can turn them into microwave. Okay, they're like big microwaves. They're the same thing you got in your microwave oven. They're the same damn thing. Okay? So basically what they can do is they can microwave all of us if they really wish to. If they wanted to crank all them towers up at once, they'd fry you where you sit right now. Fry you from the inside out just like a microwave. And the bad thing about it is your body's full of aluminum.
Yeah, they've
So you know
had
what's going to
tests.
happen?
They've had tests that there
Oh,
is a
yeah.
lot of aluminum, like in the soil and even in our bodies, and that's probably the source.
All over the place. There's ways to detox from that, but I'm telling you right now, they've got some bad stuff going on.
What are your
bad things.
What are your ways of detoxing? Do you use a routine?
I haven't been using anything because I don't give a damn anymore. I'm 61 and I just don't. I'm ready to go. I made my peace a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm the wrong kind of guy to piss off. Okay, I got nothing to lose. I got no kids. I don't have a wife. Okay, I'm successful. I live on my own, and I go my own way. But
Hey, that's freedom, right?
I'm ready to go. Okay, I've been ready to go. I'm looking forward to the next phase of this whole adventure. I kind of want to leave the body. I want to see if there's a light or not, and if there is, I'm not going into it. Okay.
Don't go into the
I
light.
I want to free my soul really badly, so I'm not going to kill myself by any means. I'm not that stupid. I believe in God or a higher power, so I'm going to do what I'm supposed to and try to help my fellow man. But at the same token, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. So I'm not worried about detoxing. But if you look it up, there's ways to detox. There's certain chemicals you can take that. I think I'm not sure if it's God dang, what was it? I was reading a curcumin or one of these spices will take a lot of it out for you. There's ways to detox that aluminum. If you just search it out, there's ways to get it out of your body. It's not all that difficult. It takes a few months, but there's ways to leach all that metal out of your body, and we're full of it. Full of it. Some people react differently to it than others. I happen to have a pretty strong constitution. I hardly ever get sick, and I'm 61, and I can still ride a skateboard and climb a tree like a monkey, which I'm pretty thankful for. Most people my age are shot.
Yes.
I mean, they're dead.
Even people younger than you are shot.
I think the only reason I'm here like this is because I just don't believe in it. I don't believe in getting sick. I think my mind has
Do you think a belief
I really
is a lot
believe
of
in
it?
a lot of that our own reality shit. I really believe your mind creates your shit. And I think somehow I've manifested health. I guess because I don't get sick, and I eat like shit. Okay, and I smoke weed all the time, and I drink beer, and I eat whatever I damn well please, whenever I feel like it, and go my own way, and I run around without a coat, and whatever I damn well feel like, and I never get sick.
Yeah, you don't take no
everybody else around me.
You don't have no prescription medications, huh?
No, I haven't been to a doctor in 20 years. I've forgotten what it's like. Well, actually, I did go to a doctor a couple of years ago. I had a double hernia, and I had it fixed. Oh, look, Sarah Felix just left a YouTube thing down there. I'll bet it's about more gallons or something. Yeah, that's another one, too. Anyway, the chemtrails, there's a number of different agendas with the chemtrails. It's not just one thing. They're using them for a number of different things. They're using them for the weather. HARP is doing it. They've weaponized the weather at this point. They had weaponized weather way back, about the days of Operation Paperclip. Back in the 40s and 50s, they were starting to figure it out. Now they got it down. They know how to weaponize weather, no problem. They create tornadoes, bad storms. A lot of this shit.
We're seeing a lot of weird storms too, right? I mean, did they just have tornado warnings on the East Coast the other night? It's like November. Yeah.
God, I'm glad I don't have to go through that. Jesus Christ, I got no problems here without seeing a goddamn funnel. I mean, holy shit! Ah! Then you lose everything too. It all gets tore up.
You know what I've heard a lot about is the fishing industry out there on the Pacific. Is that being harmed at all by the Fukushima thing?
It's finished.
Really?
Fishing is finished. You may not realize the Pacific Ocean's dead. There's shit in the Pacific Ocean. Nothing. It's dead.
Damn.
Oh, there's Sarah got the link. There's what's in the chemtrails. Thank you very much, Sarah. I should go to that link and look at it for a minute because I'm probably one that I've seen. There's a lot of nasty stuff in the chemtrails. It's a multiple agenda deal, and we're all sucking it down. We don't have any choice, and it really, really infuriates me. I can't believe that somebody's letting us do this.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they're with it. It's unbelievable.
We got to break away from it, man. Now you mentioned a civil war. Do you think that might come after the election? Like if there is a red tsunami, you think?
Yeah, the recourse. Okay, they're going to get stepped on. They're going to get crushed like a cockroach under a boot. Coming election, they're going to get stomped really, really hard. They don't have any other recourse. There's nothing else they can do. The only other thing you can do is start calling you a fascist and a racist and everything else when they're the fascists and the racists. You know, you look at a group of Antifa come running down the street towards you. You know, I've seen them in real life, all right? They're all dressed in black, and they got fucking hockey masks on and sticks and shit. You're telling me that's what the good guys look like? Get the fuck out of here. Excuse my French. That's supposed to be freedom? If a bunch of guys it looks like Hitler coming at you.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I kind of do think there's going to be some kind of civil war. There's too many brainwashed people, and there's too many people that want to be brainwashed.
Yeah.
There's too many of these people that have went through their whole school being brainwashed. They went through college getting the brainwashing treatment, and they're gone. I don't think they can be rehabilitated. I really don't. Some can.
Yeah, I think
some
so.
You can talk.
Right.
Some
can see the
God
light.
is going to and bring them back. Some people are going to be rehabilitated through the power of love. Okay, love will bring them back. Showing them love, something will pop in them, and they'll come back. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to come back. They're gone. They're gone, just as gone as can be. And those are the ones that are going to cause trouble. And I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of folks just like me who aren't going to tolerate that. Okay, we've been putting up with this shit for too long already.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, when it's on my door, I'm not just going to stand there.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm not turning the other cheek. Okay, and there's a lot of folks like me, bud. There's a lot of folks like me.
Definitely is. A lot of people are pissed off, man.
They can't do anything about it either because we all got guns. Okay,
The
we all
Second
know how to
Amendment.
live off, and we're all good old boys. We all got guns. We all like Trump, and we just ain't having it this time. The Obama days are gone, and they ain't coming back.
Yeah, did you see Obama? He's been going around like losing his mind, kind of muttering.
You see that? I was, holy shit! What, he must have just got out of the bathhouse and the crack was still rolling over him. Because man, he was off, wasn't he? Did you see the look on his face?
Yeah, he looks pretty messed up.
They had a body English guy come on and do a rehash of Obama. And they said he was scared. The body English guy pointed out a bunch of things.
Yeah.
He said this is a very scared man. This is a man who's scared. He's scared to death. That's the guy kept saying over and over again. And I was like, yeah, good. He should be. He's going down. So's that witch. She's going down too. Hillary, she's going down. Boy, she needs to go down. That woman.
Yeah.
And all the other people.
Yeah. Do you follow QAnon at all?
Oh, kidding? Of course.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Right.
Everybody does.
It's kind of big
If
news.
you're following Q and QAnon, and I don't know about it. I love reading stuff. I want to believe what he's saying, and most of it turns out to be good information. You know,
Right.
we might find out who is Trump or somebody, you know, whoever.
Right.
But I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, like you said, Obama looks really scared. That could be an indicator right there because he looked like, why are you even out talking to people? You know, like,
Yeah.
you don't look like you should be doing anything. And hardly anybody shows up to his little rallies. He's trying to be like Trump, but Trump just brings in too many people, man.
Oh, man. Trump.
He's a rock star.
Like, no, he can't compete with Trump.
No.
He can't. They didn't expect Trump. They didn't see Trump coming. They didn't see Hillary losing. They had it all set up. We were goners. Okay, Hillary would have won. We'd already be in it. Already. I'm sure they'd have popped off a nuke for a false flag to get shit started on the world wars. So they can, you know, yeah, he was cracked out of his head looking for it. He was cracked. He looked like he was on crack. I've seen that too, and he looked very cracked. Yes, he did. But I'm telling you right now, she would have popped a bomb off. I bet she would have bombed right here too.
Yeah,
it would have been right. Would have been her perfect target. Boom.
A lot of these people are evil, man. They've been controlling our government for a long time. You think they're you think they're Satanists? You think they're the followers of Satan?
They are Satanists. All of them are. Guaranteed. So's all of Hollywood. So's all the music industry. All of them. Every single last one of them. Every single last one of them. Hollywood, there's a few that aren't, like the guy from the Home Improvement Show, and there's a couple of good people in Hollywood left still.
Yeah.
But they get blackballed the minute they speak out.
Right.
All of them are Satanists. All of them are, all the government, most of them are Satanists. And see, here's the thing. They're not the ones running the show, okay?
No.
There's somebody running them. We've been run since the very beginning by other races. Whole other races. The
Aliens.
Draconians and the Greys have been running us since the beginning. Okay? We've been tweaked since all of this. That's why there's no missing link. Our DNA has been tweaked. We were brought up from apey-looking guys running around that didn't know shit, and they tweaked our DNA. They've done it a number of times over our evolution, and that's where we are now. They made us smarter so we could mine gold for them better. I'm telling you, this is what it is, and
Do you
they
think?
kept us going.
Yeah.
Time,
You ever seen?
and they're still here.
You ever seen a UFO?
Maybe I
Yeah.
might have. I'm one of the kind of guys that really wants to see one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't run scared. I really want to see it. But I personally, the only time I ever think I see a UFO was when I was out running around in the backyard with my night vision last summer.
Ooh, you got
And I
night
was
vision.
Oh yeah, oh hell yeah! I got better than night vision. Now I got thermal.
Wow.
I had Generation 2, and it was kind
Yeah.
of costly, and it's not bad. Generation 2 is not bad. Generation 1, everything's green. Generation 2, it's gray. It's a little better. The Generation 3s and 4s, that goes into the white phosphorus. You get it's like daylight.
Wow.
But it's still...
What would
it's
that?
still,
How much did that
for
cost? Set
shit.
you back.
That was about $800 for my Generation 2.
Okay.
The thermal that I had was about $1,700.
Wow.
The thermal that I have is far, far better than night vision. Thermal points it out to you right away.
Wow.
Plus, with thermal, you can switch over and pretty much have night vision. There's a bunch of different settings for thermal. But the thermal reads the heat. And that way, you can look out in the woods, out in the trees, and you can see the heat. Okay? You can't do that with night vision. With night vision, they can be out there in the trees, and they can be hiding behind a tree. You know what there are. You're not going to pick out an arm or a leg or a head.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not going to thermal. You can see it like daylight.
Wow.
Thermal, FLIR makes a nice handheld thermal called the FLIR Scout. It runs about $5.99, little handheld version, and that's a wonderful little unit too.
Yeah, I've been
I
looking
got the
at getting
goggles.
something.
Thermal, that's what you want.
Yeah.
It's more expensive. There's a reason for that. Night vision is nice. Don't get me wrong. Great to have a night vision, but if you're serious, thermal is the way to go. Thermal, you can see it from long distance. You can plainly see what it is, and you'll see it long before you do with night vision.
Yeah. Have you ever captured any anomalies on the thermal? Have you ever seen anything strange?
Thermal, but I did with my night vision. My Generation 2 did. I was looking around, and I kept seeing stars that were moving really fast.
Whoa.
You know, and one would stop and sit there, and they were blinking, and there was different colors on them, and there was a few of them. And every time I'd pull the goggles up and look without the goggles, they were gone. You couldn't see them at all. Literally could not see any light at all. And I put the goggle back on, and there it was a ball up in the sky, or not the thermal, but either goggles, the night vision. The night vision allows you to see the UFOs better. Somehow their cloaking doesn't work quite as well.
Yeah.
With the night. They use a lot of stuff. They use clouds. Some of these funky clouds you see.
Yeah, I've heard of
Those are
that.
ships.
Yeah. Some of these
Ships.
right. The clouds
Our
look
Earth
unnatural.
is covered with ships. They're covered. Our Earth is covered with ships right now. There are alien ships all around the Earth. There are alien ships all around the sun. Some of them much, much larger than our Earth. Okay, and they've got. You can go to the JPL and look at the sun, and you can see images. And they started putting black squares around them and shit, trying to block them out. But you can plainly see there's all kinds of crap around the sun. all the time. All kinds of ships and stuff. There's great big ones that come in and suck vortexes out of the sun, grabbing fuel, and then they let go. They got a couple different videos of that one.
Wow.
And there's ships all around the earth. They're all cloaked, and they're all not like we think they are.
Why do you think they're here? Do you think
these,
you think they're here to controlling us actively?
These ships are interdimensional. These ships are all interdimensional ships. They're not from this dimension. That's why we see, like, the Norway spiral, and you'll see these spirals and shit in the sky and stuff. Those are portholes that they open up to go back to their dimension. They're from another dimension. And the reason that I say they're dimensional because that's the way all these ships travel. They're not using, they use fancy anti-gravity with magnetism and stuff by spinning mercury and with magnets around it and stuff, and that will nullify the effect of gravity. But the way they travel in space is by time. And they basically create a bubble in time, and in front of the bubble, they shrink time, and behind it, they expand time. And so what happens is you get pushed along, you literally ride a time wave.
Wow.
And when you do that, you're able to go into other dimensions and all kinds of good stuff. And plus, you move faster than the speed of light, much, much faster. You can go anywhere in the universe in minutes with zero inertia, because you're not in that same time. You're in a different time. You're in a bubble of different time, and it's moving in real time. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And it's how all their work. And they've got that figured out as well. But of course, they won't release any of that to us. They won't even tell us how to get anti-gravity.
No, you got to stay
driving
here.
cars. Oh, okay. They won't even give us that.
You got to stay here and pay your taxes.
Oh yeah, pay. That's what you do.
Yeah, you think that's some of the technology they've held back, right? Some of the stuff they've.
That ain't gonna help. They'll never help until we get rid of these cocksuckers. Well, sorry for that. I mean, what? License, okay? Driver's license. You want to know what a driver's license is? Let me tell you what a driver's license is. A driver's license is someone taking away your inalienable rights as a human to be able to transport yourself in a car that you paid for, in a car that you paid for insurance on a road that you paid for, and yet they take away your right to travel down that road until you give them money. So basically what a license is somebody taking your rights away and then selling them back to you for a price. That's what a license is, if you stop and think about it, which is just what the hell?
Yeah,
and then
you register your car every year.
You're buying it with money, and you're looking at the law that's being enforced. And you know what the law is? Do you know what all the countries in the world run on? Admiralty law. Do you know when you go to court, we're run by the law of the sea. The law of the sea is a business law. It is not regular law. It is not even law. There is no law. We run an admiralty court. That's why when you go into court and you got to go through that little fence, to get up to the judge, they make you walk through the little, signifies that you're walking onto the deck of a ship.
Ooh.
That's why the flag in the judge in the courtroom has the fringe on it. A real American flag in a real courtroom does not have fringe. That fringe denotes a maritime flag because we run under admiralty law. And admiralty law is a business law. That means that's why you have a birth certificate. When you're born, they issue a birth certificate. A certificate is a bill of lading. A bill of lading is used whenever the transportation of goods is done. Well, when you transport goods, you need a record of it and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what your certificate is. That's when you do your birth certificate, they're assigning you a name. That's why it's all capital letters. It's not your real name. That's the straw man name that they give to you. You'll notice on every official document your name is fully capitalized. That's your business name. That's the name. That's your account name. And they do everything in that name because that's the only way they can, because it's done as a business. The United States is not a country. It is a business. It is not a country. It's a business. It was founded as a business. So when you go into court, you don't treat it like law at all, unless it's a violent crime, like, hitting someone or stabbing somebody or something. All those other crimes, all of it can be easily beaten. You just go in there and you mention one word. You say, I'd like to subrogate at this time. Just mention the word subrogation and watch the reaction you get. basically when you subrogate, it turns the entire case around. It flips it around so that not only do you not owe them any money or anything, they owe you. And if you do end up owing any money, you can pay it with your Social Security account. Because, once again, your Social Security account is not what you think it is. They'll send you a thing every year telling you how much is in there, but that's a lie. There's millions of dollars in your Social Security account. There's millions of dollars in all of our Social Security accounts. The government parks money in them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all millionaires, and nobody even knows it. And you could use that money if you wish. Your Social Security card is the key. Flip over your card, look at the back. You'll see a letter and some numbers. The letter on the back of your Social Security card denotes the Federal Reserve Bank that holds your account, be it San Francisco or New York or wherever that federal bank is, wherever that particular bank is. That letter will tell you what that is. The numbers that follow the letter are your routing numbers, just like on a check. So you go to the federal transfer, the federal wire, FedWire it's called, and it's the federal money transfer thing, and you go in there and you plug in the number. Oh, let's see, I'm in the San Francisco Reserve. So you hit SF, and then it's going to want a routing number, and you go ahead and put the number on the back of your security card in there, and then it's going to ask for a name, which is, of course, your big lettered name, and it's going to want an account number. And I'll give you one guess.
Have you ever used that?
Your account number is your Social Security card, your Social Security number. That's your account number. So you can literally pay bills with your Social Security card using the FedWire system, and it's completely legal, and there's not a damn thing they can do about it, and they really don't want people to know that. They really don't want people to know.
Wow.
You can pay medical, court fees, all kinds of crap, buy a house, do all kinds of shit with your Social Security card. Oh, they'll try to stop you, but they can't. And it's totally legal. Most people have no clue about that. And no, I haven't done it yet for two reasons. Number one, I make pretty good money. I don't need to do that. Okay. And number two, I'm smart. I know better than to stir dust up when I don't have to.
Yeah, they'll be coming after you.
I'm just saying, I can do it. I know how to do it. I've watched other people do it and get away with it. But I know better than to stick my nose out. As a matter of fact, just sitting here telling you this is sticking my nose out, okay? Google's writing all this down. It's all going in my file. They're flogging the shit out of me right now.
They got your file. They got your file pulled out. They're adding some marks to it.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah, they're the hell out of me, I guarantee. You too. You're tagged.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee
sure.
all
of us,
I'm sure anybody who goes to GLP even more than once is for sure tagged.
Yeah, GLP's kind of one of those places, man. You ever think it might get shut down the way they've come after some of these websites? I hope not. You know, PayPal shut off. Yeah, well, PayPal canceled their account with GLP after years and years of working with them. And just out of nowhere, what was it, a couple months ago, they just canceled it, and Trinity was scrambling to find another payment processor. But yeah,
did the same thing to Gab just the other day too.
Yes, yeah, I seen that.
They're trying to do everything they can, and you know why? Because they know that we're figuring it all out, and they don't like it. They don't want us to figure this shit out. And unfortunately for them, the internet, like I said last time, looking for truth. I am on a list. That's for sure. They're definitely scared. They're freaking out. They're losing control. They can see they're losing control. The cat is out of the bag. We're all figuring it out. And there's wars in space going on. There's all kinds of shit going on in space right now. And the aliens. I know I sound nuts, but
well, you don't. A lot of people are talking about it right now. I mean,
a lot of good aliens out there. There's a lot of people out in the galaxy trying to help us. The galaxy's hugely populated. If you think we're the only people in this galaxy, I feel sorry for you. Okay, there's millions of other races. There's tons of them, many of them. There's whole groups. There's good and there's bad. The Draconians and the Greys, the ones that have been running us since the very beginning and tweaking us and screwing with us and controlling us through religion and everything. They've been with us the whole time. The entire time they've been with us. And we have been trapped here. And when we die, we go up through the soul catcher, and they wipe our brains, and they send us back down into another body. There's souls that have been here for thousands and thousands of years.
Wow.
There's only a certain amount of a lot of people that come to Earth, we're one of the most violent planets in the solar system, or not the solar system, but in the whole universe. We're one of the most violent planets. We're way out on the edge. We're kind of hard to get to. We're not in the middle of the populated zone, and we're like a prison planet. And we're well known. We're well known throughout the universe. People know of Earth. We're violent here. We're a scary planet to most people. Okay, it's not like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie or something where everything's crazy shit and people killing each other and violent races and stuff. Most people are very docile.
Yeah.
Most people live together. That's why there's so many races on Earth. You know, in the rest of the
Dinner's ready.
Your dinner's ready.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. I'm on a podcast right now. Thank you very much. You're telling the whole world that spaghetti's on. Jeez. Okay.
How's Bob
anyway.
doing? He chimed in last time, I remember. He said he was going to go down the rabbit hole.
I don't think he knew he was talking. And he hung up already just as well. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit going on, but it's all coming to a head now.
Yeah.
People are all starting to figure it out. They're starting to figure it out. And, oh, yeah, Earth, prison planet, bad news. This is a scary place to be. A lot of people here were people that were uncontrollable on their worlds, and they were sent here to be trapped in the cycle of reincarnation, going up, coming back down, going up, coming back down, with their memories wiped each time. There are people that do escape the traps, and those are the advanced people that have gone to the astral plane, like swamis and yogis and those guys,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
The guys, when they get up there, they don't go into the light. Okay? The light is not what you want to go into. That's the soul trap. And you'll see they use your residual self-image. They use residual image in your head that makes you see your loved ones. So you'll see your mom standing there. Come, it's okay, Randy. It's all right. And you'll see trees and houses, and it looks wonderful. But that isn't what it is.
It's a trap.
And if you don't go to the light, your soul will stay free. And you'll find out that you can manifest anything you wish.
Wow.
Anything you want. It's we're all gods, and nobody understands this. But we're trapped on this planet right now, and we have been ever since the beginning of man. That's what religion is about. That's what the Bible is. The Bible was written with a lot of truths in it, but it was also sown with untruths. It was also made as a mind control object to give people faith, and through that faith, they use it to control people. If you don't believe me, take a look at the Vatican. Look at them crooks. Look at the way they're molesting little kids. You think a holy guy would molest the little kids? Look at all the priests molesting little kids. Yeah, we've always go to the light. Don't go to the light. That's right. It is confusing. We've always heard go to the light. We've always heard the earth was round, too. We've always heard that this, and we've always heard that. But you know what? We're finding out that what we've always heard was a lie. We're finding out darn near everything we've been told was a lie.
Can't trust anything you're told.
Keep your wits about you and just don't go to the light. If God is there waiting that, if God is there and God is the light and stuff, you don't think he'll wait for you a little while?
Yeah.
Huh? Because you don't pray it? Huh? Just remember that. When you die, if you have the presence of mind, and most people won't, most people will be so freaked out, they'll be, they won't know what to do. They'll see the light and they'll be so glad because there'll be nothing.
Yeah.
But when you die, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's just black and you're floating there and God almighty, what is this? I must have died. It must be scary. I'm sure it will be. But
you're not going towards
light.
the light, though. No, don't go towards the light.
No.
That's the soul trap.
No, this one's
the cycle.
one's not going to the light. I'm looking for a can of beer. That's what I'm looking for.
Does it feel like sometimes, Limerick, does it feel like sometimes you've been here for a very long time? Does it feel that way to you? That your soul is old? That maybe...
Old soul or not. I get certain feelings about things sometimes, and sometimes I'll hear something, and in my head I hear the bell of truth. And sometimes I hear something, and I know it's a lie. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how I know, and I don't know why I know, but I know it as sure as I'm sitting here. I'm positive. And I don't know how I can do that. But I don't have any hidden powers or know anything that anybody else doesn't, so I don't know if I'm an old soul or not. I like to think I am.
It could be
I'm
the
old-fashioned, I know that.
Yeah, it could be the truth has, a frequency to it that is like the light. Well, not the light you go towards after you die, but I mean, the truth resonates in us that have a moral compass still, and that can identify what's a lie and what's the truth, right?
I agree. They've convoluted everything so badly. They've mixed lies in with the truth, and they've done it so cleverly. They're very intelligent. These people, the Greys and the Draconians, they're much smarter than we are.
Yeah.
And they're far more. The good news is, it's the Pleiadians. There's a lot of different races out there that are watching over us.
Yeah.
They are helping us. And they're working with people on Earth, like the White Dragon Society and some of those groups. Okay, they're working with these people, and they're winning. We're winning, and we're winning hard, and we're winning fast. And it's coming to an end. There's a day when it's not going to be like it is now. There's a day when things are changed. When our DNA is going to get tweaked and it's going to get manipulated, and the other 90% is going to come online. And then we're going to begin to understand who we are and what we really are. And that's where I come in with the God thing, And
well, that's like what Jesus said. He said, "Can't ye see you are sons of God?" And what did he mean by that?
Created in his own image.
He did a lot of great things.
But we can manifest shit. You'll be able to manifest any life you want. You can manifest anything you want. I have a girlfriend, and she's in Bulgaria.
Okay.
And I've known her for a couple of years. And we talk almost daily on Hangouts and shit. And I can't wait for the day when I can just pop over there.
Yeah, right.
I want to pop over there.
Teleportation. Yeah.
Hey, look who's here. Give me a hug.
Yeah, exactly.
There's shit happening, and the sun's starting to freak out. And I don't even know if it's the real sun anymore, because there's a sun simulator that's being used now.
Ooh.
That's why the sun's white. I don't know if when you were a little kid you remember, but the sun used to be yellow.
I've heard that. A lot of people have said that. And I try and remember.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember. I know this. It seems like the sun used to be yellow. It seems like
yellow. It was very yellow. It was plain yellow. And in the afternoons and early evenings, it was lovely, and everything was yellow and beautiful, and orangey and lovely. And it's not like that anymore. Now the sun is blazingly white. Okay, white. It doesn't even look like the sun. When you photograph the sun, you can see the different lens shit going on around the sun. It never used to do that. Okay, the sun. There's been stuff done to the sun. I believe they put up a simulator. Yeah. I believe they simulate the sun. I really do. And the Earth's flat thing. God, it's hard to accept one or the other. It's really hard to accept one or the other. But
well, you don't know what's real, what's not. You kind of just have to use discernment. Right?
I really don't for a globe. I know that there's these towers in Montana, and they're radio towers, and they're on a mountain, and they're about, I think they're like 700 or 800 feet above sea level. They're high up, and I'm 26 miles away in my cabin. Okay, in my cabin, there's a mountain about a half mile away, and I hiked up to the top of that mountain. It took me all day.
Mm-hmm.
And that mountain is also 800 and some miles away, okay? And high, 800 feet high.
Okay.
And I stopped at that mountain, and I looked at them towers with them binoculars, 26 miles away. Now, 26 miles away, these radio towers, big radio towers. And I'm looking at them towers, and I could see the base of the tower. I could see the base, the house, the base. And if the Earth had a curve to it, that would be impossible. It would be literally possible from 26 miles away. Another way is if you live by the sea, watch a boat and watch it till it goes out of sight. Okay? Watch it till it just completely goes out of sight. Once it's out of sight, pull up your camera or telescope or binoculars or whatever you got, zoom in on it, and look. You'll still be able to see the boat.
I've seen videos of that. Yeah, people have done that.
Flat. It's flat. So I'm not sure if we're a donut or if we're like a half moon or what the hell. All I know is it can't possibly be a globe. If it was a globe and it was spinning, there's I mean, use some common sense. If we were on a globe and it's spinning 1,200 miles an hour and you had a ball in your hand, if you threw it up in the air and we're going 1,200 miles an hour and you just threw it up in the air, wouldn't the effect of gravity be slightly less on the ball? Wouldn't that ball travel away from you, a ways, and land down there? It wouldn't come straight back down to you. It would land down there, wouldn't it? Okay? As you negate the force of gravity, there should be less pull. Therefore, the Earth should keep spinning, and whatever's going up should not spin as fast. In other words, an airliner should just be able to go straight up in the air and sit there and wait till the damn thing comes to us. Oh, there's Looking for Truth asking me why they would lie about that. Well, I'll tell you why. They don't want us to know that we're prisoners. They don't want us to know about the wall. Everybody thought the Earth was round. Well, in the first place, before we ever got started back in the 15 and 1400s and way back in time, they all knew the Earth was flat. That's how they made all their maps. Then they decided the Earth was going to be round. So they came out with the round Earth, and that happened just before we got into what's that guy's name? The guy that went to the North Pole and got his ass whipped back in the 40s.
That was Admiral Byrd. Yeah.
Yeah, Byrd.
Yeah, General Byrd. Admiral Byrd.
Yep. There he got popped, and, well, they found the wall. And they
Operation
found
High Jump, huh?
Yeah, high jump.
Jump up the wall.
Found it. They found the thing. They were blown away. There was water on the other side of it. They didn't know what the hell to think. Then the elites all know about it. The elites know all about it. A lot of people know about it. Many, many people know about it. The only ones that don't are you and I. Everybody else knows. All the elites know. All of them. All the Satanists know. They all know about that lie. It's a huge lie. It's so big, you can't believe it's that big. The lies that we have been told are so huge, it just boggles your mind. There's so many millions of people involved in them. You can't believe it. You can't believe it. It just shocks you. You're like, God dang it, really? It just blows you away how many people are involved in it. But the Earth and being the ball, it can't be. It literally can't be. You should be able to just go straight up in the air and let your destination come to you. But that never happens. Anyway, they found that wall way back Admiral Byrd days. And so then right after it, America and Russia, because China didn't have the capability yet, but America and Russia started shooting nuclear bombs up there. Okay, there was a big thing about it.
Yeah.
Operation Fishbowl. And the reason they called it Fishbowl is because, well, it's like we're in a fishbowl.
Like we're in a dome? Yeah, but if we're in a dome and all that, what's up with the other galaxies, though, you're talking about, and the races?
That's the confusing part comes in. That's how can they go to Mars?
Right.
Can there be these other planets and shit? What's going on here? That's what I'm not sure about. I somehow think that all the other ones are around and we're not. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I say.
We're just trying our best
the evidence
here.
About the Earth being flat, and it's very strong. Anyway, they started shooting these nuclear bombs up trying to break the dome, and they couldn't do it. And they blew one up, and that's how they figured out what an electromagnetic pulse was, because it shut off all of Alaska and shit.
Wow.
The EM down Alaska. There's a bunch of stories about it. And they had an idea back in the 30s when that one guy, Picard was his name. That's Star Trek Picard. That's what they named him after. This famous scientist, Picard. He in the 30s, he made a hot air balloon, and he took it all the way up like 56 miles up, and he found the top of the thing. He found the dome.
Wow.
And stuff. And
yeah, wasn't he on National Geographic or some science magazine? I think I've seen that. That was before NASA and everything. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, you'll notice that right after they found the dome and they blew the bombs up and they found electromagnetic pulse and they couldn't figure out how to break the thing and they didn't know what else to do, so they immediately made this treaty, and that treaty was that nobody goes to Antarctica because they didn't want them to find the wall. Okay?
Ooh.
And you find it strange? that everybody in the entire world adheres to this treaty, that everybody, nobody goes to Antarctica. Even our enemies don't go to Antarctica.
Yeah,
everybody.
It is odd that there is
a
big treaty in Antarctica. Antarctica's a weird place.
There's technology up there. There's buried cities. There's all kinds of stuff in Antarctica, and once that gets uncovered, it's gonna blow everything else away. There's all kinds of stuff up in Antarctica, and they're still finding it right now.
Yeah.
But they don't want us to find the edge of the wall. They don't want us to understand that everywhere you go in the world, you're only going so far, and you're going to end up in Antarctica. It's a big circle, and that's why I don't know if the dome's over just a part of the Earth or the whole Earth or what's going on with that. But we're enclosed, and we always have been. So they came back, and we beat the Nazis and shit, and then we took all their scientists away, called Operation Paperclip.
Yep, Werner von Braun. He was
Braun and all those other guys all over here and gave them all kinds of money and off the hook for killing all them people and shit. And they all went to work on that, and you know what they created? They created NASA. Yes, that's right. Never a straight answer, NASA. And you want to know what about NASA? You know who it was funded by? It was funded by two Hollywood, or not funded, but started by the people that began NASA, the people in charge of NASA that started it, two Hollywood producers and Werner von Braun. That's the founders of NASA, okay? Two Hollywood producers and Werner von Braun. Look it up. I'm not making this shit up, okay? Those are the guys that started NASA. NASA wasn't started by scientists. It wasn't started by any of it. And if you start looking at the shit NASA puts out, you can plainly see it's a lie. Look, watch a video from the ISS. You can see the belts and shit making their shirts puff up. You can see the phoniness of it. You can see their hair flying all around, the women's hair sticking all up. It doesn't move. It's solid. It's hairsprayed. It's a solid mass looking like the Addams Family because it's hairsprayed. Okay,
wow.
All of it's all green screen, computer animated.
So it's a giant deception, huh?
Huge deception. And it's been going on much longer than we've been alive.
Man.
That's what. And the reason it's been going on is because they know that people just ain't going to handle it. Okay? They know that it's going to blow everything away. It's going to topple their whole little power grid's going to fall apart the minute people find out that was a lie. It's going to change everything. It'll change religion. It'll change everything. And they can't have that.
Yeah.
They want the status where it is. They want us at each other's throat. They want us divided. They want us confused. They want us misinformed. And they want our money. That's what it's all about. They just run us like a bunch of ants. They all live underneath us. All the Draconians live underneath us. There's huge areas underground, huge bases. They're all under there. Plus there's ships covering the earth. We're covered with, there's thousands of ships. And soon, mark my words, one of these days, they're going to uncloak.
Yeah, they're going to pop up, huh?
No matter where you are on the planet, you'll be able to look up and see ships that are bigger than whole cities, that are so big floating up there, you won't believe it. And then they're going to come down. And when they come down...
Ooh, what are they going to say?
Oh, no. That's just it. They're going to look a lot like us. They're going to look like Nordics, but they're not going to be. They're going to be Draconians. But we're going to think they're good folks. And they're going to come down like Nordics, and they're going to come right into people's houses and visit with people. And people are going to be freaking out, and the world's just going to go crazy. And we're going to be rejoicing, and it's going to be just a crazy-ass time when they all decloak. And this is coming soon, man, soon. And when they come out, they're going to look like us. They're going to be bigger than us, taller, and they're all going to look perfect, and they're all going to be beautiful. And they're going to talk English and whatever other language these countries speak. They'll talk that language, and they'll go into your house, and you'll cook them dinner, and they'll answer your questions. And they'll, oh, God, I'm so glad you guys finally came to rescue us and give us technology. Oh, yeah, they're going to give us this whole... They're sizing us up, man.
Yeah.
We're getting sized. We're getting used. Draconians eat us, all right? We're basically a food supply for the Draconians. And the Draconians have many planets. It's not just a handful of them here running the show. There's billions of them. They control whole galaxies. All right.
Well, that would kind of make, David Pilates stuff where all these people are going missing in the national parks. That's an interesting subject.
There you go.
Think they're eating them? Is that dinner time?
Yeah, they eat us.
Dinner's ready.
Oh, yeah, they eat us. They're eating us. I'm telling you, they're eating us. And there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the parks. The woods are a little spooky. You want to stay away from certain shit in the woods.
Yeah.
There's stories. That David Pilates, that'll freak you out.
Yeah, that's some scary stuff. Gosh.
Oh, man, that kid up in that wall where it took climbers like 2 days to get to him.
Yeah.
And shit. And, pretty much naked, and they show up 2.6 miles away, completely fine.
Yeah. Up cliff sides that they can't climb. Yeah.
And then the stairways. You heard about the stairways in the woods? All the completed stairways?
Yeah. That was on that subreddit, No Sleep. I seen that. That one national park guy said there's these stairways that just show up in the staircases in the woods and places, and they say, don't go near them. Don't go near them.
Jesus. That freaks me out so bad. I'd come. The woods are the woods. Come walking into a finished staircase somewhere. That's like that. That would, and out in the middle of nowhere. How are you going to get that shit even out there? And they're fully carpeted and shit. And
wow.
Finished stairways, all different types.
Could be a bleed through from a different dimension or something. Yeah.
It goes to tell you that there's an awful lot of stuff that we are not told, and I mean.
Oh yeah. Pretty
much stuff than we're told, okay? The stuff we know is but a fraction of what's really going on here.
Yep.
And we're starting to find out now.
I'm there with you. A lot of lies going on. A lot of lies.
Yep.
Well, we're going to cut it here, Limerick. Man, thanks so much for calling in again. It's good to check in with you. I'm going to check in with you again. You keep searching. I'm going to probably get that thermal night vision thing you got.
But I'll give you something to think about for the night, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, hey, don't let dinner go cold on you. We know Bob got on the phone. You got dinner waiting, so I'm going to let you go.
I'll cook it again, and then thank you very much for having me on, and I'll be on your next. Sure.
All right, brother. Take care.
Adios.
That was Limerick from GLP, everybody. Tune in to let us know what the heck is going on. I want to thank you all for listening tonight. This is episode 9. If you want to check us out online, you know where to go. hiddenpathpodcast.com. Yes. You can find us on Twitter. And just go to the website. You can find the links to all our social media. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in and listening. It's been an absolutely thought-provoking show. I'm your host, Residence Rich. For our producer, Renaissance Ted, hooking up the guests tonight, Kathleen Marquardt. She was great. And you can go over there to the American Policy Center, AmericanPolicy.org. Yes, check them out. You have a good night, and stay woke.